Hello, 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 hello. We should be live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and welcome back to the coverage here in Budapest. We are 59 minutes away from the start of the race, and we've had quite the eventful quite the eventful time in the paddock after qualifying has finished. A few penalties dished out, a few more clarifications about what happened with George Russell, and we've got a few drivers starting from the pit lane and things like that. So, yeah. I'll cover all of that very, very soon. We might as well start off with penalty number one, that being Lewis Hamilton get given a 3-place grid penalty for impeding. And to be honest, I think that was fair at the end of the day. You look at the onboard from Piastri, and Hamilton did just get in the way of Oscar Piastri's final flying lap, and that's why Piastri couldn't improve at the end. So, 3-place grid penalty, fair enough. Do I think that they probably should have awarded that straight away and, not waited like 1 hour, 30 minutes or however long it took them? I think that, yes, they probably should have awarded it straight away, but, we know how the stewards are. As for Antonelli, this is, of course, I think a little bit more controversial, especially with how it went down with George Russell in Austria. Of course, very, very similar scenario. You're going through the final couple of corners on the circuit. You've got a yellow flag. How much do you slow down? How much do you not slow down? And well, it was determined that Antonelli did not slow down enough, and he also did not lift enough. So, if you look at the telemetry from Austria, you can see that George Russell lifted, I think, approximately 100 meters or so before he would have normally lifted for that corner. And then, yes, he did go through the apex at only 3 kilometers per hour slower during qualifying, and he got away with that. But I think that was universally considered by most Formula One fans as that was a bad decision and he should have slowed down more. Now, I think a very similar thing happened here with Antonelli, and he lifted off not 100 meters before, he only lifted off 30 meters before the yellow flag, before where he would usually lift off, not before the yellow flag. He lifted off 30 meters earlier, and then his apex speed clearly wasn't slow enough for what the stewards were wanting, and they determined that, it was unsafe and he should get a penalty for it. And I know a lot of people will now go and compare, Russell only slowed down by this much, Anthony slowed down by this much, why has he got a penalty? And I think the reason for that is that it was sort of discussed. I'm sure they will have had their post-driver briefing, where the drivers talk to the stewards afterwards and they have their sort of race discussion with the race director and things like that, and it will have been brought up that a 3 kilometer per hour difference is probably not safe enough for a yellow flag, and hence that penalty has been awarded on this occasion, whereas previously it should have been awarded but it wasn't. So that's what happened there with Antonelli. George Russell, he had a water leak. So I don't know how many of you guys know this, but George Russell, he has got new power unit components. He will still be starting at his normal grid position of 7th place. No grid penalties have been applied because it's not over the limit just yet. So the limit, I think, is 4 new internal combustion engines, and he'd used 3 up until this point. So now this is going to be or internal combustion engine number 4. So if he takes any more, then he will get a grid penalty. But yes, he is taking a new power unit component. He did have a water leak. So as he was going through turn number 4 there, which is just over there on the track map, he hit a bump a little bit too harshly, and there was a water leak spraying out of his car, and it was spraying onto the rear tire. So the water leak itself was the cause for stopping and for his issue at turn number 1, but then the reason his lap was so slow is because there was water going onto his rear tire, and he was essentially driving a 4-wheeled Formula 1 car, 3 wheels in the dry and 1 wheel in the wet. So That's the reason why he obviously couldn't improve, and that's why he qualified in seventh. You know, he himself in the press conferences afterwards did not think the top three was on the cards, but he did think potentially fifth position, potentially fourth position was doable. So yeah, bit unfortunate there for George Russell, but hopefully, you know, now with the new power unit components fitted to his car, well, the issues that he's been encountering, hopefully they do get resolved. Russell does not start in the pit lane, folks. He will be starting in seventh position. Yeah, and spamming in the chat's not gonna change any of that either way. Okay. And yeah, the only person that, as of right now, has had their documents released saying that they're going to be starting in the pit lane is Sergio Perez. He wasn't particularly happy with the setup of the car. You know, if you guys do, I think it was Sergio Perez that did have issues during one of the free practice sessions with his car. I think it was FP3, was it? I can't remember now, but either way, the setup wasn't great. He was complaining about the car just sliding around too much, not having enough grip, and essentially they've decided that, you know, instead of just starting at the back of the pack, we might as well just get a new setup and start right at the back of the pack and start in the pit lane instead. So we'll see how that goes for Sergio Perez. Further news is we have got the Malaysian Grand Prix has been confirmed. Now, it's not going to be called the Malaysian Grand Prix. It's still technically going to be called the Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm not exactly sure as why that reason is. Maybe it's some sort of contractual legal reason or something. But we will be racing in Sepang. It will be called the Bahrain Grand Prix, but you know, who really cares if we're at the circuit that we want to be? So that'll be very, very exciting indeed. In a few times in the past, we have had this situation where you've had, I think, the Swiss Grand Prix was held in France. We've had the San Marino Grand Prix held in Italy, and there was the Luxembourg GP that was once held in Germany. This was a very long time ago, of course, in the history of Formula One, but this is not a first one-time event. Yeah. Oh, Bahrain is funding, is that why? Okay, fair enough then, yeah. So I guess Malaysia is just providing the facilities, Bahrain is still providing the money, and that's why I think the process was expedited and, well, it worked out quite nicely. So, and hopefully, you know, with the race being moved to Malaysia, there'll be loads of tickets on sale, and hopefully the Malaysian government will see that there is a huge tourism boom because of Formula One, and we can race at Malaysia continuously rather than it just being a one-off event. Yeah. F1 Gamer, I volunteered to be your trackside reporter. Oh, are you at the Hungarian Grand Prix circuit, or is this going to be at the Malaysian Grand Prix track? Because but yeah, I mean the weather here in Hungary seems to be rather sunny. I think in Malaysia, of course, typically a trackside reporter is very, very handy because of the nature of the weather. Right. I will pop the grid lineup onto the screen shortly. Once the data loads, we will have the grid lineup come onto the screen. So, but you'll have Lewis Hamilton starting in 5th position, and you'll have Antonelli starting in 7th position, and Leclerc, and then Russell gets promoted up to 6th if my calculations are correct. Okay. It's before Singapore, yes. So the week it is I think it's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of October. That is the weekend before we race in Singapore, and then but it is the weekend after we race in Azerbaijan. So it will be a triple header, and it will be Azerbaijan, then it will be Sepang, and then it will be Singapore. So pretty good, really, pretty good. Okay. Did Russell get a grid penalty for the components? No, he did not. In fact, I shall probably just put that up on the screen as well, since we have had that question quite a bit. All right. Yeah. So a power unit change doesn't necessarily mean that you will start from the pit lane. So there are a few different criteria. So if you go back to a old version of your power unit, or if you go upgrade your power unit, so whichever thing that you do, if you change it after qualifying, if you change the version of the power unit, then you will have to start from the pit lane. And if you exceed your power unit threshold for the season, 4 power units, or 4 internal combustion engines, 3 batteries, whatever it is, if you exceed one of those limits, then you get a grid penalty applied. So that's how it gets decided. But George Russell is using the exact same power unit components, and he's within the limit of this season so far. So he'll be starting still in the normal grid positions. Yeah. Changing the power unit doesn't mean breaking parc ferme. So parc ferme is specifically about the version of components on your car. So if you, for example, get front wing damage during qualifying somehow, then you can replace your front wing, and as long as it's the same version of front wing, you're good to go. If it's an old version or a new version, you then have to start from the pit lane. Yeah. Good morning from Los Angeles. Congratulations on 250k and your graduation. Enjoy the summer break. Thank you. Hope you guys also have something planned for your weekends here for the next month or so, because we will be we're not racing in Zandvoort until the 23rd of August. So that is 3 weekends of no Formula One, and then on the 4th weekend we'll get a bit more Formula One action. So yeah, it's going to be, you have to figure something out to do. Will Abu Dhabi and Qatar also be cancelled? So that is still to be confirmed. So because we are having the Bahrain Grand Prix held in Malaysia, and not the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix being held in Malaysia, there is still the possibility that if all of the issues in the Middle East resolve themselves, then we can go racing in Qatar and we can go racing in Abu Dhabi. But that is still to be confirmed and to be, rectified, and decisions still yet to be made on that. But we're having the Bahrain Grand Prix diverted over to Malaysia, and then potentially we could have the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix diverted over to Portimao, or potentially to Imola. It depends on how these negotiations work, and if there's people willing to pay the money in Portimao for this year, or if the Saudi people are going to pay the money instead. So there's there's some complications and things like that, and negotiations still yet to take place for the second Grand Prix that may be rescheduled. Do you think these 2026 cars are going to struggle in the Straits of Sepang? I do think so. Unfortunately, with the layout of the Sepang circuit, there are some sectors where there is tremendous amounts of straight line, very similar to sort of, you look at, I don't know what would be, Baku, Silverstone. You've got similar type of things there. So yes, I do have a feeling that while we've been asking for Sepang for so many years because of the wide nature of the circuit and the fast flowing corners, 2026 might have been the worst possible year to actually go racing there. Yeah, 2 consecutive straights at the end. They're very, very long as well. So yeah, we'll see. But this will also be interesting, right? So Cadillac, they have of course never raced in Sepang before, so they will then have to they'll probably have to send someone out to the Sepang circuit to get a 3D scan of the track, or maybe they'll buy it off one of the other Formula One teams. But to go in their simulator, all of the teams, they have like this laser scanner that goes over the circuit, analyzes all of the bumps, and creates this really accurate 3D map of the circuit, so they can recreate it in the simulator. And Williams and Audi, and Audi would have been previously Sauber. All of these teams in the past have raced at Sepang, so they will have the data. It may need to be updated a little bit, given that there may have been resurfacing that has taken place and stuff like that. But Cadillac will have to get that sorted ASAP if they want to prepare their drivers, prepare the cars for racing in Malaysia. Okay. Why does George not get a new penalty? for a new component. You don't get a new penalty because you have a total limit of components for the season. So, 4 internal combustion engines, 3 batteries, and George Russell has not surpassed the limit just yet. The other drivers that did take grid penalties in Belgium, they had surpassed their allowance. Stroll and Alonso, they had already broken quite a few things on their car because we know their reliability was bad at the start of the season, and as a result, they're taking components above the limit, and that's why they get the penalty. Okay, let's go into the data here. So what are we looking at? Yes, this is our race strategies, ladies and gents. We have got quite the mix here of race strategies, and it's going to be quite interesting to keep on track of this. So 4 out of the 5 strategies are 2-stop strategies. We have got one-stop strategy, that is strategy number 2 there. Start the race on the medium tyres and then go on to the hards right till lap number 70, 71. And yeah, that is going to be a little bit tricky to pull off, given I suspect we're going to have some very warm track temperatures. In fact, here we go. We've got the updated starting grid here, so you guys can see now where your favorite driver is going to be starting. And yeah, as you can see, you got Hamilton 5th, Russell 6th, Antonelli 7th. But yeah, point being here, with track temperature up at 51 degrees Celsius, air temperature also up at 30 degrees Celsius. This is the warmest temperature it's been for the air all weekend long. So, of course, more stress on the engine and the power unit components and such. So reliabilities, of course, will be a concern and a problem, I suspect, for quite a few drivers today. But track temperature is so high that I think strategy number 2 will be unfeasible. So 2-stop strategy almost guaranteed here for the drivers. And we have got some, it's not going to be everyone does the exact same 2-stop strategy because of the tyre situation. So not every single driver has got 2 fresh sets of hards. So you look at, for example, Liam Lawson here. He's got a fresh set of medium tyres and only 1 fresh set of hards. So he has to do a medium, hard, soft strategy because he just doesn't have 2 sets of hard tyres. Same thing can be said for Bortoleto. Same thing can also be said for Alonso and Sainz and Albon and Stroll and Bottas and Perez. We've got Sainz, Albon, Bottas, Perez. They have 2 sets of medium, so they could do medium, hard, medium. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky with the tyre situation. You also will note Ferrari there. They've got a slightly different shade of yellow on their medium tyres, and the reason is that they used their medium tyres in quali yesterday. So if you remember back to Q1, Ferrari did their first few laps on medium tyres. Those are the same medium tyres that are now going to be used in today's race. So they will have, a slight disadvantage there, maybe 1 or 2 laps extra worth of tyre degradation on them. It's not going to have a huge impact overall, but yeah, something to take note of. Then next up, in terms of your pit stop loss time, you lose 20 seconds by coming in during green flag conditions, 11.5 during safety car, virtual safety car. So, you save 9 seconds or so by pitting under the VSC. Chances of safety cars in the last 8 years or so have been rather slim. Two VSCs in and then 1 safety car, and then of course we've also had 1 red flag. This is another thing that I wanted to sort of go over. This is the qualifying head-to-head here, folks. This graphic has been taken from, I think it's Formula1dashboard.com, but what you can see here, Carlos Sainz is beating Alex Albon 9-1 in qualifying. He beats him again in today's quali, in yesterday's quali as well. We've got Ollie Behrman beating Ocon 8-2, Verstappen beating Hadjar 7-2, Alonso beating Stroll 7-2. But I would like to move down and look at Bortoleto Hulkenberg, and I think I've been missing out on the occasions when Hulkenberg outqualifies Bortoleto like he did yesterday. But it's relatively even between these two guys, and 5-5 for them. Bottas and Perez 6-4. Lawson and Lindblad also very closely matched. Lawson having that slight edge. Same thing for Norris there, outqualifying Piastri yesterday, and also overall more for the past 10 races of the season. Then you've got Leclerc beating Hamilton in quali and Antonelli beating Russell. If we now move over to the race head-to-heads, you can see, of course, the numbers are slightly different here. They don't all add up to 10 because Alonso and Stroll haven't finished every single race that they've started. So, you know, for the races that they both have finished, which is 7 races so far, Alonso's beaten Stroll 6 out of 7 times. You've then got Verstappen there that has beat Hadjar 7 out of 3 times, and you can see that the 5-5 record that we had between Bortoleto and Hulkenberg has now switched to 7-3 for Bortoleto. Bortoleto tends to outperform in race conditions, and if you look back right at the bottom there, you've got Piastri, who outperforms Norris in race conditions of the races that they do finish, of course. So there we go. That's that. But just a quick overview of the strategy. This is what you're looking at in terms of strategy: medium hard, or soft medium hard, or essentially it will probably be a combination of 3 different tire compounds, because not a lot of drivers have got the flexibility to go medium hard. Yeah. Okay, we are 40 minutes away from the start of the race. We're having our reconnaissance laps here, so the drivers making their way out of the grid, just driving around and getting a feel for the circuit. Okay. F1 Gamer, why is the Hungaroring called Monaco without walls? Well, I'll take you through a flying lap, and I think it will be rather obvious. Firstly, of course, because of the slow speed nature of the circuit, and then I would say secondly because of the narrowness of the track. So coming down the main straight, this would probably be the widest part of the circuit. You can probably go 3, even 4 cars wide here, but in towards turn number 1, braking there down into 3rd gear, maybe even 2nd gear, depending on if you want to keep your RPMs high. You then go down the hill in towards turn number 2. Careful there on the inside tyre not to lock up. Don't drift all the way out to the right hand side because you need a better exit down through turn number 4, and you then go off your reference point, turn the car in, hopefully don't hit a bump and spring a water leak like George Russell did yesterday in qualifying. That was quite unfortunate for his session. Now in towards the middle sector you go, and you can just see sort of how narrow it is. You're going through in 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear for everything. This is why it's called Monaco without walls. Very difficult to overtake. At this point in the circuit, you can barely go too wide if you really try to. If the cars would have to be driving in formation essentially to go too wide. Everything else is single file. And typically what you'll see is by turn number 4 or maybe turn number 6 of the circuit, on the opening lap of the race, everyone will be going single file past turn number 6. It will be you'll have a bit of side-by-side action at the start, but it's only really the first sector where you can pull off some overtakes in Hungary. Okay. Russell Anthony collision, calling it now. Yeah, I mean, these guys, of course, they will be looking to, of course, do a bit of damage limitation. Also, I've got to point out here, Lando Norris' first non-Mercedes pole of the year. It's just been Russell and Anthony that have been getting pole position so far, and Lando Norris has gone on to break that streak, so obviously a very nice job done for him. And we'll see, of course, if he has the race pace to continue on and to beat the Mercedes cars. But I think the Mercs might still have the advantage in race conditions. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Oh yeah, we have hit 251k. Fantastic. Much appreciated for everyone subscribing and everyone hitting the like button. Hopefully the channel can continue on growing. But glad to have you all here. If you haven't hit the like button though, be sure to do so. It does go a long way to helping out the channel, the algorithm, all that sort of stuff, as I'm sure you are aware. What happened to Hamilton? Hamilton got a 3-place grid penalty for impeding Oscar Piastri. Oh, we got a yellow flag at turn 14. What's up there? There's not a driver that stopped there. Bottas is driving through relatively slowly. Turn number 14, sorry, not 15. And seems like everything's going all right still. But yes, Hamilton had got a 3-place penalty for blocking Oscar Piastri during qualifying. If you look at the replay, you yourself, as much as you would like to be a Hamilton fan, like you sort of sometimes just got to admit it, that it he did block Piastri, and obviously it sucks as a Hamilton fan, whoever it is, but it's it's the rules of Formula One. Sometimes you just gotta, it is what it is. F1 Gamer, can you tell us what the Malaysia track is like? I am new. What I will do is I will record a lap around Malaysia somehow. Either I'll do it on Assetto Corsa or maybe one of the old Formula One games, but I'll record it and then and give you guys a bit of a track preview and things like that. But yeah, as of right now, I am not an expert around Malaysia. I've never driven a car in the F1 games or anything around it, so. It is a good track though, from what I've heard and from what I've watched as well. I've watched quite a lot of the extended highlights around some of the previous races we've had in Malaysia, and they've been quite the exciting ones. Do you think Kimi and George have been in terms? Is this the closest Kimi and George have been in terms of grid position since Canada? I can't remember actually. Can't remember. It might be. Who knows? But yes, there could of course be chaos between these two drivers starting very close to each other. I think in Spain, no, they were quite close. But I don't know. I can't remember if Spain was before or after. The drivers are currently out on the circuit doing reconnaissance laps, so they're just getting a feel for the conditions, making sure all the cars working properly, checking all of the systems, and then they'll line themselves up on the grid soon enough. So that's what they're doing on the circuit right now. Vettel versus Webber was a great battle in Sepang 2013. It was. And you've had some great team radios from Vettel in Sepang. Oh, that's it, I'm going home or something. What a stupid action. Maybe was that from Malaysia? Can't remember. For a lot of F1 drivers, this will be their first time in Malaysia. Oh yeah, this is another thing. Yeah, that's another critical reason why you'll need the teams will need to get as accurate as possible laser scans of the Malaysia circuit. Antonelli never driven at Malaysia before. Same thing for Piastri. Same thing for Norris. Same for Colapinto. Same for Gasly. So I would say more than half the grid has never driven at Malaysia before. So yeah. It is of essence for the teams to get their hands on some laser scans of the Malaysia circuit, so they can get they can get the drivers practicing in the simulator. Okay. Watch EA rush to add Sepang in F1 26. Well, it wouldn't be hard for EA to add F1 Sepang, because they'll just copy and paste the track from F1 2017. Given that that's all EA do in all of their games, they just copy and paste. So, yeah. I think I probably shouldn't say too much about EA actually. Right. We have got Behrman still in the pit lane. He's the only driver that is still in the pit lane. But the pit lane's still open as of right now, and we'll have it closing soon enough. So Behrman has got to get out. Bold prediction: Alonso P5 or better in Malaysia with the incoming Aston upgrades. Well, it is. Oh wait, so we've got someone in the chat here. Having driven Sepang on the MotoGP 2 track, seems really fun, except the turn after the straight is horribly dangerous. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Of course, Sepang will have its Grade 1 status. Right, so the FIA has a grading system for how safe the track is. Is it safe for Formula 1? Is it safe for GT3 cars? Is it safe for other types of motorsport? And Malaysia will have Grade 1 certification. So yeah, the FIA will of course do their best to ensure that it's safe. And do you think Kimi can win? yeah, I mean, he has got the, over the course of the season, he's still got the fastest car on the grid. We don't know if it's the quickest in in Hungary, sorry, with the warm conditions and things like that. But Antonelli's been on a roll, so could he win again? For sure. What was this? Bold prediction, Alonso P5 with the upcoming Aston upgrades. So yeah, for any of you folks that aren't fully up to date with what's been up with Aston Martin, they've of course brought 16 upgrades here in Hungary. Talking to Fernando Alonso from the press conferences, the sort of outcome that I got from that was they have brought huge upgrades and the car does seem to be doing what they want it to. However, they haven't managed to nail down all of the setup just yet. The reason for that, of course, being that Lance Stroll had his issue during free practice 1. That means he was out of running for the entirety of free practice 2. So they just couldn't get as much data and information as they wanted, so that sort of hindered them in the setup making progress. And then Alonso also said that we probably could have got a few more tenths if we had got the setup correct, and there's still more improvements to be made. So there's still just a few more tenths waiting in that Aston Martin car to be unlocked, and then in Zandvoort, in Monza, in Baku, they're bringing 3 more upgrades. They're also bringing a Honda engine upgrade as well. So all of these 3 things combined, or 4 upgrades combined, I guess, Honda plus the 3 upcoming in the next couple of races, we should have quite the exciting prospects for Aston Martin. They've made, of course, huge strides forward already. They've moved past Cadillac. They've already leapfrogged the Williams team, have now split themselves in between the 2 Haas drivers in the form of Fernando Alonso. And, 3 or 4 upgrade packages later, they could find themselves near Audi if all goes to plan. Okay. Track temperature is 52 degrees Celsius. It's not really changing too much. Air temperature 30 degrees Celsius. I will keep you guys posted on if it does change about. How many DNFs do I predict? I reckon we are gonna get 6 DNFs. Yeah, because of the warm conditions, also the nature of the circuit as well. A little bit, if you do go for an overtake and you miss time, misjudge it a little bit, contact is quite likely, and damage and things like that, and debris. So I guess we'll wait and see, right? 2 pit stops are predicted. I will once again just bring up the strategy forecast here so you can see that we have got start the race out on the mediums, then onto the hards, then onto the hards again. That is the quickest strategy according to Pirelli, but of course not everyone has got the ability to do that because not everyone has got 2 fresh sets of hard tyres. So I'm going to move over here to the tyre information. You can see that Lawson, Bortoletto, Alonso, Sainz, Albon, Stroll, Bottas, Perez, they only have 1 fresh set of hard tyres. Same thing also for Lindblad and Hulkenberg as well. Only 1 fresh set of hards. So it's going to be, they obviously can't do the quickest possible strategy according to Pirelli, so they're going to have to find something different. They're going to have to do 2 sets of mediums and then 1 set of hards, or 1 set of softs and 1 mediums, then hards. But they're going to have to figure something out because, they need to make it to the end of 70 laps here. Okay, and just here you lose 20.5 seconds in the pit lane and 11.5 seconds if you're pitting under VSC or safety car. Yeah. All right. All the hotels near Sepang are sold out. No way, they're already sold out. That is That's pretty fast, I've got to say. But yes, the circuit is literally connected pretty much to the airport. So I suspect all of the hotels in the airports, if they knew that a race in Malaysia might be happening, I guess, yeah, you just sort of buy up all the rooms. High chance of rain in Malaysia, as you know, tropical country where the weather's highly unpredictable. Indeed, I do. Indeed, I do. So it'll be fantastic if there is someone on the channel that is going to Malaysia and going to watch that race, or if there's someone just watching from Kuala Lumpur for that matter. It would be great to have weather updates then about if it's raining, if it's not raining, and that sort of stuff, because well, that is one of the most critical factors in Sepang, because you have these thunderstorms that appear just out of thin air essentially, and no warning, no foresight. Whereas typically, here at least, if it's raining, we get a message on the radios being like, 15 minutes, we've got level 2 rain arriving at turn number 5, and it's going to stay around for 12 laps. Whereas in Sepang, it's like, oh, it just started raining, time to pit for intermediate tires. So it looks like we've got quite a few people in Malaysia and in Kuala Lumpur, which is fantastic. So much appreciated, guys. And then, of course, if it is raining, then or if there's chances of rain, then the updates would be fantastic. Right. Usually in Malaysia it rains after 3 p.m. Fair enough. The start time of the race has not been, I don't think it's been confirmed as of yet about what time exactly it will start. So, I guess we'll see. Because it will be a day race in Malaysia, and as far as I know, at least in the UK, from the UK to Malaysia, it's plus 7 hours, I think, to Kuala Lumpur. Let's see. Yes, plus 7 hours. So if they have a race at 3 p.m. here, it might be a bit of an early start in the UK, but let's see. Don't want to brag, but my circuit is 20 kilometers but my house is 20 kilometers from the circuit. I'll just bring my bike there. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. All right, we are 23 minutes away from the start of the race, folks. So we are, going to have the usual national anthem procedures and this, that, and the other. The drivers will be, they'll be doing the normal pre-race start grid walk and things like that. The drivers will be answering a few questions in the press conferences, and then we'll be getting ready for the race very, very soon. Of course, quite a lot of the drivers now, they're wearing their ice packs and things like that because it is quite warm out in Budapest. The humidity is not so bad, actually, only 25% humidity, so sweating, of course, going to be a little bit less sticky in that regard because of the lower humidity, but the drivers will be pre-hydrating. So, it's very, very similar to what firefighters do, actually, because if you're in a firefighting scenario, you cannot drink enough water to actually compensate for the amount that you're going to lose when you're fighting a fire. And what they do is, before they go out, if they know that if there's a wildfire or something and they've got to go put out the wildfire starting at 5 p.m, then 3-4 hours before they have to leave, they start building up on all of these fluids, so the drivers will have their electrolyte solutions, and they'll be filled right up to the brim, essentially, to ensure that they stay at maximum cognitive capability. So, of course, you spend millions and millions of pounds trying to make this car to go 1/10 quicker. You can spend thousands and thousands for a personal trainer and all of the best science and all of the best, I don't know what the right word would be, but everything to optimize the driver as well as the car, because you're spending millions on optimizing the car. You might as well spend a similar level of money to try and ensure the drivers are at their optimal peak performance and stuff like that. Track temperature is 52 degrees Celsius, folks, 52 degrees Celsius, so a one-stop very much is off the cards due to just how warm it is right now. Yeah. Is Malaysia a night race? No, it's not. It is. It's a race that's typically just held in the afternoon or the evening. So, yeah. Is Saudi Arabia going to get replaced with another track as well? Probably not. Well, actually, no. it will get replaced. At least there have been talks of it getting replaced by Imola, but I don't know if it will be called the Imola Grand Prix or if it will be called, the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, but it's held in Imola. So let's see. I don't think they've got floodlights at the Malaysia circuit. Yeah. But that is that. 70 laps of racing here in Budapest today, and two-stop strategy is what we are expecting. Okie dokes. What I will do is now take you through a flying lap of the circuit, and also just a quick reminder, if you guys do want to watch the coverage using Proton VPN, there is a link in the description to get it, and then you can join an Austrian VPN server using Proton VPN. You then go on to Google, search RRF Formula 1, and then you can enjoy the coverage. Job done. So yeah, check it out. If you get it, if you get the $1 a month offer this weekend, then you'll be able to watch this race here in Budapest, and then you'll also be able to watch the race in Zandvoort in 4 weeks' time in the Netherlands. Okay, flying lap of the circuit. So let's go through in a bit more detail here. The Hungaroring track. So first thing here, when you're coming in to start your flying lap, on the left hand side there, you can see it's just a painted white line, and then there's grass there on the left. So if you have even the slightest lap serve concentration there while you're turning into that corner, or maybe you're looking down at your steering wheel, modifying your overtake mode or engine mode so you can try and make an overtake down the straight, if you are not paying attention to how far left you're going, if you even dip a wheel into that grass, it's pretty much a guaranteed spin-off. We've seen it many times throughout the years during qualifying laps, free practice sessions. Drivers dip a wheel there, and there's not really much coming back from it. So that's the first difficult part of Hungary, and you haven't even started your flying lap. Then you've got track limits here on the exit of turn number 14. We get a lot of drivers with lap times deleted on the exit here, and it was a thing that we saw in quali yesterday, quite a lot of lap time deletions in practice as well. I will keep you posted, of course. It's your three track limit extensions, then you get a black and white flag, and then after the black and white flag, you then get a 5-second time penalty. So the drivers will, of course, have to be cautious of that. You then make your way down the start-finish straight in towards turn 1. You've got quite a long run here, so I would like to point out the drivers that are starting with the even numbers. They are on the right hand side of the grid, and the drivers with the odd numbers are starting on the left hand side of the grid. So the left hand side is the clean side, so Norris, Piastri, Hamilton, all of the drivers with odd numbers, they're going to have a slightly better launch off the line because they are on the cleaner side of the circuit where there is more rubber deposited on the track. So yes, a bit of a disadvantage for everyone on the even numbers, but we'll see, of course, how that plays out, because they will then have the inside line in towards turn number 1. You blast your way down the start-finish straight, and you're braking up around the 100-meter mark here. The straight itself, I would say, is upwards of, it's just upwards of 700, 800 meters or so. It's not actually all that long. So there is, of course, opportunities to slipstream and overtake, but you do need a very good start to be able to pull off, an overtake, let's say from third position up into first position, something like that. And you then make your way through turn number 1. Your brake balance is shifted forward a little bit, so you're about 60% brake balance on the front here to maximize your braking performance, and then you back off the brakes as you turn into the corner to prevent the locking up. You then start going down the hill in towards turn number 2 here. At this point, you're not actually braking in a straight line, you're braking very much while turning, so your brake balance goes rearwards to ensure that you don't lock your front tires up. But of course, you've got to be careful in these regulations. If you shift the brake balance too rearwards, then the MGUK will start recharging, start slowing down the back wheels, but then also your brakes will start slowing down the back wheels. You could result overloading the rear tires, especially if you're on a downhill braking. You've already got more weight on the front, so the rear gets lighter and lighter, and there's a chance that you lock up the rear there. So again, more things to be careful of and worry about. You then go in towards turn number 4 here, at which point, you cannot see the apex, and you lift off, tap the brakes a little bit, and and go off your reference point through that corner. Turn number 5, you've not got a curb there on the inside line. The concrete is a little bit too steep for the drivers to actually touch with the cars. It does unsettle the car a little bit too much. You drift all the way out wide because you have got quite the nice exit curb there on turn number 5. In towards turn 6, not actually driving over the curbs too much because you do want to keep the car stable as you're about to get onto traction for the middle sector, and this is of course very fast and flowing, so you do need to be super smooth with your steering. You then go through turn number 11. Track limits very easy to exceed here, as you can see, on the replay. In fact, I'm very close to exceeding track limits. Quite a few times we have seen drivers exceed track limits here. Again, another issue, and these penalties will start adding up if you do it too many times. You then go in towards turn number 12 here. This is a straight line braking corner, so you brake balance forwards for this corner to get the maximum braking performance, and then you steer very, very deep into the corner because your exit, of course, not all that important because you're about to get on the brakes again. This corner, however, you're braking while turning, so brake bounce again rearward. So this is one thing that happens in Hungary a lot of the times. The drivers between corners will keep messing with the brake balance forwards, brake balance backwards, and you've got to keep up to date with it. It becomes more and more trickier as you're checking your mirrors, making sure someone's not setting a dive bomb and things like that. And then you make your way out of the final corner, of course, just trying to get a good run onto the straight, where of course you have got straight mode. So this is the other thing in Hungary. We have got 4 straight mode sections. So you've got one between turns number 3, turns number 4. You've got another one between turn number 11 and turn number 12. You've then got one down the start finish straight, and then you've got one from turn number 1 to turn number 2. Okay. So that's a lap of the circuit. Also, by the way, folks, in terms of when I give my analysis of the track and this sort of stuff, most of the time, I've got this information. Obviously, I haven't driven the Hungary circuit myself. The closest thing that I've driven to, I guess, a Formula 1 car is a go-kart. Well, I guess a normal road car is closer to a Formula 1 car than a go-kart is. So yeah, I've driven a normal road car. So most of my analysis and things like that does come from watching on boards, watching what Nico Rosberg says. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in, I think it was 2020 or 2021, Nico Rosberg would give these really interesting insights into how to drive around the Hungary circuit and things like that. So, if you do like these sort of the technical insights onto the track and stuff, I would recommend Nico Rosberg's videos about them. And where else do I get them? Yeah, a few drivers, of course, they discuss their what their thoughts are on all of the tracks in the social media videos and stuff. So yeah. Right. Okie dokes. How bad is the dirty air here? It's pretty bad, to be honest. It's one of the worst circuits for dirty air, behind probably only Monaco. So that is going to be a big problem, and we'll see how the overtaking works out, of course, with the battery situation, things like that. That one thing that is positive around here in Hungary is that we're not getting a lot of clipping or super clipping like that, because there is just so much time that is spent on the brakes that there's so much time that's spent on the brakes that you don't actually need to super clip into anywhere. Yeah. Right. The most I've done is 135 miles per hour on a track. Nervous doing that, even on an open road. These guys' reflexes must be so acute. Yeah, it is. It is quite crazy how quick these guys' reflexes are. Yeah. No, I mean, now it's what 2 p.m. So I suspect my parents are probably listening to my stream. So I've never actually gone over the speed limit ever. So yeah, never gone over 70 miles per hour, and but yeah, even 70 miles per hour, a big way off what these drivers are doing. They're doing triple that speed going down the straights. So Yo, mate, can you make it rain today? Well, unfortunately not. It looks very nice and sunny out in Budapest, and you got all the grandstands nice and packed full with fans there. So, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be getting much rain. The rain forecasters, it was 5%, then it went to 10%, and now it just looks like it's 0. So, there you are. Have you ever worked on a car, changed a wheel, brakes, clutch? I've worked on my motorcycle, so not on a car itself, but on a motorcycle, so I guess close enough. Right. Why did Russell not get a penalty? So just to quickly reiterate, the only time you will get a penalty for taking new power unit components is if you exceed your limit for the season. So you have maybe four internal combustion engines, 3 sets of control electronics, 3 batteries, and George Russell has not gone past that limit. Whereas Isaac Hadjar last weekend, we had Fernando Alonso last weekend, Lance Stroll last weekend, they'd already gone over the limit. That's why they got their grid penalty. And the reason that they haven't broken Parc Ferme is Parc Ferme is very strict about it has to be the exact same component that you're replacing. So George Russell had power unit version A, for example, and he replaced it with power unit version A, and that's why he doesn't have to start from the pit lane. If he replaced it with power unit version B or version C, then he would have to start from the pit lane, but as it was the same version, he gets away with it and still starts in the same grid position. Okay. So 10 minutes now till we get underway for the race, folks. 70 laps of racing is going to be taking place. Yeah. Let's pop this like goal up to 5,000. Thanks everyone that has hit the like button. Much, much appreciated. And if you haven't subscribed as well, be sure to do so. What site can we watch it on Proton VPN? It's ORF. So, yeah, Austrian VPN and then ORF Formula 1. You can watch it there. Undercut to overcut. It's going to be an undercut today. Actually, you can do both in Hungary. We've seen it in the past where the undercut works out to be strong. We've also seen the overcut to work out as well. Typically, the undercut is the one that's slightly better because the higher the tyre wear, the stronger the undercut is, and essentially, yeah. Do you think George will have problems again since he replaced the power unit with the exact same power unit? Problems in all of the power units of that version? Well, it's tough to say because Antonelli is using the same versions, right? So it may have been something in that specific component. It could. Maybe it's not a version problem. It might just be there happened to be something damaged with the one that he was using, and now he's using a different one. So I guess we'll see, right? Mercedes, they tried everything that they could think of. They tried loads of different fixes to try and make things better. They've of course changed Russell's driving style and things like that as well, but nothing was coming to fix it. So now you've got to go one by one, process of elimination. Let's change this, does it work? Let's change this, does it work? So if it turns out that George Russell still has the power unit deficit at this track after the power unit change, then the straight line speed deficit after this power unit change, then they'll have to start changing out more components, or most likely what will happen over the summer break, the car will get sent back to the factory and everything will be disassembled, and they'll do the most in-depth forensic analysis that they can on everything. Try to look, they'll have Antonelli's version of the power unit as well, so they'll compare, is there something different? Is there a crack here and there isn't a crack there? What's going on? So, yeah. Let's see. Okay. Can I show the tyre strat? I shall pop the tyre strat up on the screen. There we go. Oh no, this is the wrong one. Just a quick reminder there, 20.5 seconds lost during your pit stop and 11.5 during safety car, virtual safety car. and this is our tyre strategy for today. Yeah, big mix here, big different, lots of different possibilities. I think we'll have a mix of drivers starting on the softs and the mediums for the start of the race here. Of course, it is a little bit tricky here in Hungary when you do start on the softs, because you will have an extra 100 kilograms worth of fuel in your car, and that will really accelerate the tyre wear procedure. Not procedure, sorry, but just, the tyre degradation will get a lot faster, especially in Sector 3, because you rely so heavily on the tyres in Sector 3 because of the mechanical grip that's needed, because, you haven't got the downforce there, because you're going in third gear, fourth gear kind of thing. Your tyres play a much bigger role, and you essentially eat through your soft tyres very, very fast. So maybe we'll have strategy number 4 be more prevalent. The drivers opt for the medium tyres because they're a bit more durable at the start, then they use the softs at the end because the car is lighter, and they can get away with that sort of tyre wear there. Okay. Really impressive how fast Aston are in the corners. Straight line speed is where they lack until the Honda upgrade comes. That is correct. So if we did look at the fastest sectors from qualifying yesterday, so in Q1, you looked at in sector number 1, which is primarily just a straight line in towards turn 1. You've got 2 corners there, but then the rest of it is all straight line speed. I mean, you've got 3 out of your 4 straight mode sectors in the first sector alone. Aston Martin was, I think, 19th and 21st fastest in the first sector, so that is of course them just being down on horsepower. But then sector 2 and sector 3, they were 13th and 14th and 13th and 15th fastest. So in terms of the cornering pace, Aston Martin is on the edge of Q3. Of course, they're lacking in the straight line speed department. Oh, we've got the tyre information coming through. Okay, brilliant. Let's get rid of this. Okay. Soft tyres for the Ferrari boys. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? So Hamilton, starting on the left-hand side of the grid, he's going to have a bit more grip off the line, and then also he's going to have the soft tyres to help him out in that regard. Charles Leclerc, he'll be starting on the right-hand side of the grid, so a little bit less grip there, but he'll have the advantage of the soft tyres, which he'll be hoping to make an overtake on Lando Norris in towards turn number 1. And okay, and then who else? We've got Bortoletto, Alonso, Sainz, and Stroll on softs. Everyone else is on medium tyres. Used softs as well for Charles. Yeah, Charles doesn't have a fresh set of soft tyres because he used them during... So what happened was, in Q1 yesterday, Ferrari used one set of mediums and then one set of softs for Hamilton. But for Leclerc, I think they had to use one set of mediums and... Oh no, for Hamilton they used one set of mediums and one set of softs, whereas for Leclerc they had to use one set of mediums and 2 sets of softs. But either way, I think Leclerc had to use one extra set of soft tyres in Q1, and that's why he's out on used softs and Hamilton's out on fresh ones. But it is what it is at the end of the day. It's not going to be a huge amount of difference because, well, he only did one flying lap on them. Okay. So let's go. We've got 2 minutes now till the start of the formation lap. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. And we're about to get underway here. We have got, from the back of the pack, we've got Sergio Perez starting from the pit lane after some suspension changes and some setup changes overall to his car. Wasn't too happy with how the car was driving, so he'll be starting from the pit lane. We've got Valtteri Bottas in 21st there. Again, Cadillac, they're just making progress quite consistently, but of course they've been leapfrogged by Aston Martin this weekend. Lance Stroll 20th position after having a little bit of free practice time cut short due to his suspension arm failure in free practice 1, so he'll be looking to make up for some lost ground. Williams, both drivers are particularly unhappy this weekend. I mean, they've had a bad start to the season, and then getting leapfrogged by Aston Martin has just make it a whole lot worse. Both drivers expressing quite a lot of discontent about the car. You've then got Oliver Behrman in 17th position with one of the few times that he's actually been out-qualified by Ocon so far this season, so nicely done by Ocon, but Behrman, of course, will be doing his best to ensure that doesn't happen again. Fernando Alonso with a great performance out-qualifying Stroll, as standard, to be honest, from Alonso. Nicholas, thanks for joining the channel membership. Much appreciated there, buddy. You then move up to Esteban Ocon there, 15th place for him. Nice going. Of course, Haas will be looking to move further up the field. Bortoleto is out qualified by Hulkenberg for the sixth time this season. Yeah, sixth time this season for Bortoleto, and Colapinto I think has been out qualified for the 8th time or the 9th time this season. So not been great for Colapinto against Gasly in terms of qualifying record, but they're starting close enough to each other, so we'll see where they go in the race. You've then got Liam Lawson in 11th position. He, of course, this is his first weekend driving with the upgrades that arrived in Spa for Racing Bulls. Of course, it was only Lindblad that had the upgrades in Spa, so Lawson a bit more time to catch up with the feel of the car and the setup and the balance and sort of things. But 11th position for him. Hulkenberg in 10th place, making it through into Q3. Very nicely done from him yesterday. Lindblad in 9th, which is really good for the rookie, of course, and he's raced here before in Formula 2, Formula 3, so no surprises that he's doing well here. Isaac Hadjar in 8th position. Let's see how we can do. Of course, not the strongest weekend for Red Bull overall. Max Verstappen complaining that the car was just getting slower and slower and slower as the qualifying was going on, so not the greatest start to the weekend for those guys, but of course Sunday is when the points are scored, so we'll see if they can recover. And the same thing with the Mercedes. They're trying to do some damage limitation here. I'm sure this is the lowest that both of the drivers have started in a race all season long, and it'll be the highest that the McLaren drivers are starting. And well, let's see what McLaren can do. Will they be able to close up on Ferrari in the championship? You've got Hamilton there in 5th position, starting on some softs. He'll be looking to get ahead of Verstappen and Piastri at the start of this race. He's of course lined up on the left-hand side of the grid, which is the clean side of the circuit, so that'll be double advantage to Hamilton, clean side of the circuit and also soft tyres. You've got Verstappen there in 4th position on a fresh set of mediums. We'll see what he can do in the race, but he wasn't happy with how the car was driving yesterday. Piastri there in 3rd place, of course, getting promoted up quite a bit because of the penalty situation, so nicely done there by Piastri, and we'll see if he can score a podium today. This might be one of his few opportunities this season. You've then got Charles Leclerc in 2nd. He'll be going for the race win here. He got pole position last year in Hungary, and there's potential in the Ferrari car to win a race. And Lando Norris, great qualifying lap from him yesterday. The first non-Mercedes driver to get a pole position in 2026 so far. Let's see how he performs in race conditions. Thanks for the donation, Nicholas. Hey boss, what circuit would you want to redesign if you could? You could call me Nick, US national, living in Stockholm, Sweden. Much appreciated, buddy. What track would I want to redesign? I would quite like to redesign what would I say, Laguna Seca, so it would become Formula 1 compatible. I would like to see the Formula 1 cars go through that corkscrew a little bit, make it a little bit wider and things, so Laguna Seca would be my choice. Okay, let me get rid of the countdown timer, and we're getting all the team radios coming through now. The drivers, of course, weaving left and right, getting those brakes up to temperature, getting the tyres up to temperature, and let's get ready to go racing, folks. Okay, formation lap underway, folks. Formation lap. It's not the start of the race just yet. And thank you everyone for tuning in. 25,000 people tuned in to the live stream. Much appreciated, everyone. And I will be back, of course, after the summer break, and I'll be live for all of the races after then as well. So, yeah, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do so. And, yeah. Also, hopefully no adverts coming up through the... Oh, we got a bit of a burnout there. Is that... Yeah, quite... Well, it was a bit of smoke that it seemed like it was coming out of Red Bull, out of Verstappen's car, but it was probably Max doing a burnout. So not to give you Red Bull fans a heart attack, but yeah, Max just doing a burnout as standard procedure really to warming up your car for the start of the race. Okay. And you've then got Sergio Perez just finding himself up into the pit lane there, and we've now just got the final car of Valtteri Bottas emerging out of the final corner, and here we are getting ready to go racing. Alright, we have got the green flag waving of the marshals back at the pack. We have got all of the engines revving up as we head towards the start of the race. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights Go, 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 and we are racing here. A really good start there for Isaac Hadjar at the back of the pack, and both McLarens launch themselves off the line, and it's a McLaren 1-2 going in towards turn number 1. Piastri's going to try it around the outside. Verstappen to the inside ahead of both Ferrari cars. Incredible start for Max, and Hadjar's right there as well. Ferrari, they have been so good in race starts so far this season, and they have totally disappeared out of nowhere. You've then got, who is this? This is Lewis Hamilton fighting back against Verstappen in towards turn number 3, and at this point the circuit is about to get single file as Piastri leads the way from the front. He managed to get ahead of Norris, and I got confused there between the two McLaren cars, but Piastri in P1, Norris P2, and you've got the two Ferraris squabbling away amongst themselves on the soft tyres. Clearly the soft tyres not the optimal tyre to start the race on, because both Ferrari drivers have ended up losing positions. Oh, let me move over to race mode. Apologies there. Right. Yeah, purple in the middle sector for Piastri. Of course, he's quickest out of all of the drivers, and the gaps, as you can see there, everyone is within 1 second. Oh, sorry, not both Ferrari drivers losing it. Hamilton up 1 and Charles down 3. Russell anti-stall. George Russell has anti-stall problems at the start of this race. I don't know how. Yeah, I totally missed that. Nobody saw it. Well, I didn't see it. I'm sure a lot of people did. But yeah, Russell anti-stall problems. I mean, this cannot get any worse for this guy, man. Power unit problems for like half the season so far, and then he gets anti-stall after he gets a new power unit. Oh, game is so over for George Russell, and we've got a battle there between one of the Red Bulls. That's Hamilton versus Verstappen. Oh, it's 2021 all over again. This is great. Verstappen putting his car exactly where it needs to be. He's defending like Alonso did in 2021, and Hamilton cannot find a way past. He's going to have to stare at that Red Bull rear wing for at least 1 lap longer. Driver error or car error for Russell. I mean, I guess we'll see, but these drivers, they are, they practice their race starts a lot, and well, we'll find out. But so far this season, quite often the anti-stall issues have been car problems. Max had it in Monaco where the car just had an issue, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was another car problem for George. All right, Hamilton there throwing off a little bit of a plastic cover on his visor as he looks to get a little bit more, better vision of the racetrack. He's got, of course, Charles Leclerc in his mirrors. He's purple in the first sector. Ante's purple in the middle sector. Oscar Piastri looks like he's going to be forming a big old DRS train here. And, we're going to have, seems like, a 3-4-way fight for first position as Antonelli starts squeezing everyone from the back. And Hamilton again trying in towards turn number 1. Verstappen, though, not even going defensive, because, of course, if you go defensive, you compromise your line on the exit. And Verstappen doing his utmost best to not compromise his line on the exit of turn number 1. On the inside for turn number 2, pushes Hamilton out wide. Hamilton cannot go for the switchback, and Charles Leclerc stuck there in the double dirty air of Verstappen and Hamilton, and he's drifting wide at the apex of turn number 2. Stroll's got no power. We'll see. It's coming back, Lance. So I tried to figure out. Okay, so Stroll's having some issues there. Honda power unit. Looks like it's another GP2 engine moment there for Stroll. And Hamilton with the fastest lap of the race. Norris purple now in sector number 1. Yeah, Piastri's back, of course. Last year we had the papaya rules fiasco at Hungary between the two McLaren drivers, and we'll see if Piastri can go and win this race outright without any McLaren interference. All right, very nice camera shot here you've got from on top of turn number 12 and 13. And Piastri exits out of turn number 1. Fastest lap of the race, a 1:25.272. And Piastri here has a huge advantage of the fact that he's not in any dirty air. He is in clean air, which means his tyres can last as long as he can manage them. Whereas Norris and Verstappen and Hamilton, they're all sliding around because they've got this turbulent, dirty air that's coming off the back of Piastri's McLaren. You've got Norris here setting up Norris here being told to switch over a few engine modes, and Piastri's being told to take some slightly different lines through turns number 2 and 3. That resulted in him actually getting a worse first sector time than his personal best, and also worse than Norris. But yeah, we'll see how it works out for Piastri next couple of laps. Russell looking to make some steady progress up the field, which he is doing, but it's just so unfortunate for the guy. I mean, I'm not surprised he's not come over the radio and said, no more radio for the rest of the race. I don't want to talk to you guys. Yeah, it was anti-stall. That's what he said. But, well, it's yet to be seen, of course, if it's driver error or not. And look, with the way that the power units have been acting up this season, and, you look at every single race that Russell has taken part in since the start of his career, I don't think he's hit anti-stall once. So it seems awfully more likely that it's going to be a power unit problem than George Russell making a mistake. But I guess we'll find out. It's too early to make any official claims. Another fast lap of the race there for Piastri. That's the blessing of not having to manage your tyres and not having to sit in the dirty air. He's just pumping out consistent lap times, especially in that middle sector. Quickest he is in the middle sector by about 1.5 tenths or so. Okay, what was I going to say? What? Oh yeah, if you want to watch the coverage using Proton VPN, it's an Austrian VPN server and ORF. The link's in the description, folks. Yeah. Alonso can overtake and reach the top 10? I don't know. I don't think so. It's he's just been overtaken by George Russell, and the Aston Martin cars is on the softs right now, so he should be making progress further upwards. But yeah, it's he's being told to switch a few engine modes there on the radio. All right, we're watching here with Russell, and the car just stalls out. Nothing that he can do, and he's just staring in his mirrors to make sure that he doesn't get hit. But he just gets absolutely swamped off the race start after hitting anti-stall. And looking at the reaction time, Max Verstappen got a better reaction time, but Piastri got better traction, and that's of course what resulted in Piastri managing to leapfrog ahead of Lando Norris. So some great driving there, just picking out the right line. Whilst Norris was drifting wide and struggling for grip off the racing line, Piastri found himself on the racing line and said, "Thank you very much, I'll take that position off you, mate." Why is Leclerc starting on new soft? No, Leclerc had some issue during qualifying, which resulted in him doing one extra run on a set of soft tyres, and hence, I don't know if it was either Q1 or Q2 when he did it, and that's why he started on used tyres, whereas Hamilton started on fresh ones. Has Leclerc just been told to lift and coast through turns 2, 6, and 12? I'll keep an eye out on that, but not ideal if he's been told to do that. Of course, they'll be managing tyres more so than managing fuel or anything like that. Lifting and coasting actually does incredible wonders for your tyres, because when you lift and coast, you slowly, your car slowly decelerates, and it, I don't know the best way to describe it, but essentially it's not such a sudden action of jumping immediately onto the brakes. You are first accelerating, and then you start decelerating, and then you go onto the brakes much quicker, whereas going from accelerating, decelerating are much harder on your tyres, and it contributes a lot more to the tyre wear sort of thing. So I think that's what Leclerc is trying to do right now, managing his tyres. Thanks for the donation there to Max Verstappen. And, Verstappen is doing a nice job there in P3. Hamilton has not been able to find a way past for the past couple of laps. Of course, Hamilton, hitting those apexes out of turn number 1 quite nicely, but Verstappen placing his car where it needs to be, and Hamilton just cannot find a way past. We've got a few GPS glitches going on over here. Don't know what's going on, to be honest. Clearly someone's having some problems with the GPS today, but I'm sure that'll get resolved soon enough. Yeah, don't know what's going on, but the timings on the left hand side are still accurate. Okie dokes. Yeah, Piastri still 1.4 seconds clear of the competition, and then you've got a 2-second gap between Norris and Verstappen, and then it's half a second between Verstappen and Hamilton. Right, if this doesn't resolve itself, I will give it a refresh, but I suspect it will resolve itself soon enough. Yeah. It's what the what? I've never seen this happen before. I've streamed for 5 years. I've never seen this data glitch out this badly. Yeah, I mean we'll continue on. If it doesn't sort itself out in the next lap or so, I'll give it a refresh. Any comments on Audi outperforming the Cadillacs? Well, Audi were, they are a factory team in a sense. They've sort of taken over Sauber, which helps a lot. Whereas with Cadillac, they're a team that's starting from scratch. Okay, I'm going to give the data a quick refresh, folks. 20 seconds. The screen's going to go black, and then we should be back. Let's see if it sorts itself out. So just bear with me. It's going to be black. The screen's going to be black for another 15 seconds or so, and then everything should sort itself out. But continuing on with the race here, Hamilton just staring at this Oracle rear wing of the Red Bull car. He's, going through turns number 6. He's right on Verstappen's heels, but he just cannot seem to make any sort of progress past him. Yeah, clearly the GPS is just having a field day today. Doesn't seem like we're going to find any fixes, to be honest. I'll double check if it's happening for other streamers as well, but I think it probably will be. Yeah, it seems like it is happening to other streamers as well. Oh well. Well, I'll continue on with the broadcast, folks. Must be a Flavio Strat. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, someone's clearly jamming the GPS systems. That must be it. But the timing system's still working. Hamilton here now trying again in towards turn number 1, but yeah, Verstappen is being extremely brave here by not taking it defensive, because as soon as you do go defensive, you compromise your run, you compromise your exit, at which point you leave yourself very vulnerable. But Verstappen trusts that Hamilton isn't going to send a dive bomb, and for that reason, he will take the appropriate racing line through turn number 1. Okay, we got Bottas overtaking Stroll. Stroll into the pit lane there. It looks like he's having a problem. Oh no, they said box opposite Sainz. What's going on? What's Aston Martin doing with the strategy here? Box opposite Sainz. This is some next level strategy for 9 laps into this race, but clearly the soft tyres are wearing out rapidly, and especially for Hamilton. I can't imagine, track temperature is up at 53 degrees Celsius. Hamilton is on soft tyres for the previous 8 laps, and yeah, and he's in Verstappen's dirty air for so long now, so I don't know how he's even coping with that, to be honest. Yeah, let me pop on slow mode. Give me a sec. Okay. Portal racing in Formula 1 sooner than GTA 5. Yeah. Thanks for the donation, buddy. Kurama the Wolf. Okay. And looking further then at the deltas, we've got Bortoletto catching up to Ocon. Russell, I've got to say, swift progress for him. Swift progress. He's making his way up the pack very nice and quickly. He's now behind Gasly, who he's 1.5 seconds back from. So we'll see how long it takes for him to catch up. Yeah. And apart from that, though, Piastri is getting the gap closed up a little bit by Norris, actually. Norris starting to close it up on the previous lap and on this lap as well. We're looking at the gap going down by about 0.2 of a second between the two drivers. So we'll see, of course, if Norris has the pace to come back at Piastri. However, I do think that the closer he gets, the more his tyres overheat, and then the more then he then has to drop back again. So we're about lap number 10. We'll see the drivers on the medium tyres start to pit around lap number 20-ish, and then yeah, just earlier than lap number 20, at which point then they'll try to do 2 stints on the hards, or approximately 25 laps each or so. Right. How's the tyre, Oscar? Currently, we are thinking plan A, target lap. Tyres feel good, says Oscar. Piastri, very nice, very nice. So Piastri will be, well, the target lap will just be, they'll have a predetermined strategy. So if they say plan A, Piastri knows that, oh yes, we're going to pit lap number 20, and that will be, and that way they don't tell every other team that, oh, we're going to be pitting on lap number 20, get your strategies ready. So keep in mind, right, you lose 21 seconds there by coming into the pits. So Oscar Piastri, if he was to pit right now, he would come out just ahead of Lindblad if it was a quick stop by McLaren, and he'd have about a 4-second window to Lawson. So what McLaren want right now is Liam Lawson to actually come into the pits. Then Piastri will get a big window to have a bunch of clean air catching up to Isaac Hadjar, have clean air for about 7-8 seconds or so, and that would be more than enough for a pit stop to come through and work nicely. So yeah, if Lawson pits, McLaren will be free to start their pits. They could come pit early, they could pit late. Maybe we'll have the Norris side of the garage try to undercut Piastri. We'll see how that plays out. But of course, Norris will also be waiting for that equivalent amount of clean air for him as well. And yeah, it's going to be tight. For Charles Leclerc, however, if he does pit now, he would come out just ahead of Gasly, and then he would catch up to Hulkenberg rather quickly, but then he would have a bit of clean air up to Lawson. So there is, again, opportunities for Leclerc to try and undercut his teammate. We don't know what the Ferrari sort of inter-team rules are about that. Is it allowed for one driver to try and undercut the other? Yeah. It seems like we need to give a 5-second penalty to the GPS, honestly. Yeah, the FIA source is having a problem, so essentially that's what it is. Can I explain anti-stall? Anti-stall is, well, you just don't want, if you let the clutch out too quickly, then the car will stall, as you will in any sort of manual car. And anti-stall is essentially just a prevention measure which will keep a bit of the clutch pressed and probably press a bit of throttle as well for you to ensure the engine keeps ticking over. Because if the engine totally switches off, then you have to do the full restart procedure, P0, P1, then build your revs, this, that, and the other, and it would be then too dangerous to have on the grid. You just have a stationary car on the grid, and for that reason you have anti-stall to make sure the car at least moves a little bit. And thanks Merrick Bradshaw for the donation, much appreciated. Yeah, I mean I can make this text a little bigger, but it's not really gonna change things, to be honest. What else is going on? Russell has got ahead of Gasly, missed that overtake, but Russell swift progress. So far, my driver of the day, it's got to be George Russell. He's got his head down, hasn't had too much complaining over the radio. In fact, they've just said target +6 for George here. So, in fact, his tyres must be doing pretty well. For the fact that he's making his way through the pack, through traffic, and making some quick overtakes as well, the fact that he's been told target +6 means that he's also managing his tyres very, very well. So really good job there for George Russell. Yeah. Okay. Ferrari is on softs, yeah. They should be pitting rather soon. The medium tyres will be pitting around lap number 20. You've already had one of the soft tyres drivers come into the pits in the form of Stroll. You've had Perez pit on lap number 12 of his medium tyres. So, yeah. I don't know what Ferrari are doing with 20 laps off, but Hamilton is literally in Verstappen's DRS for so long, or in his overtake window for so long, and he's still managing his soft tyres. Like, Hamilton doing a great job there. Norris now within the 1 second of Piastri. So Piastri, maybe his pace has dropped off a little bit, maybe he made a mistake or whatever. He, in fact, in the first sector, that's what it was, lost out 2/10 to Norris in the first sector, 2/10 in the middle sector, and... well, his gain. Oh, Hamilton dives into the pits. There we go. So it seems like, his tyres were going to wear out at a certain point, and he's now trying the undercut here, folks. He's now going to come out. Well, let's see where he does come out, but it's going to be... is of course going to be very, very close here for Lewis when he does come out of the pits. He needs to get himself in some clean air. If he gets some clean air, he has the opportunity to try and undercut Max Verstappen. It might work. So let's see what happens. Lewis Hamilton comes into the pits up onto the jacks, and they replace it, and that's the hard tyres. Hard tyres, 2.6 second stop for Lewis Hamilton there, and he's out onto the circuit. You can see, well, you can't actually see because the GPS is glitched, but he's ahead of Hulkenberg, and he has got a 3/10 gap to Lindblad, and once he overtakes Lindblad, he'll have 4 seconds, 5 seconds of clean air. So Ferrari, I think we're expecting a 2.3 second stop, 2.2 second stop. That would have ensured Hamilton comes inside ahead of Lindblad, but he'll make the overtake very, very quickly. It should not be too much effort whatsoever. Right. Folks, do you just want me to sort of just turn off the GPS? Or... yeah, what do you want me to do? I'll give it one more refresh. We'll see if that fixes anything. But it's typically just an issue with the FIA source. Like they beam out a source all around the world, and if the original source is wrong, then yeah. Okay, we've got... I'll just put a vote in. Remove GPS, yes, no. We've got Verstappen coming into the pits, actually, so just obviously keep that in mind. But Verstappen diving into the pit lane now. So he's, of course, acknowledged the undercut threat there from Lewis and is trying not to get undercut. It's going to be hard tyres for Verstappen as he comes out of the pit lane there. And as you can see, he does come out behind Lewis Hamilton. Did the undercut just work? The undercut, oh my God, they come out literally, it's so close between these two drivers as they come out onto the circuit, and Verstappen loses out. Ferrari strategy has just worked, and Max Verstappen loses out with Hamilton up into 7th position. So very nicely done. Let me just pop a poll in, folks. Okay. But yes, Hamilton, of course, purple in that first sector. Now he's doing his best to try and keep Verstappen behind. And Verstappen, of course, he will have his tyres be slightly cool. Oh, what's this? Whose car is this? Valtteri Bottas. His tyre is smoking? What's this? It must be a puncture of some sort. But he's driving through the pit lane entry here at a very, very slow speed. And yeah, okay, let's just turn off the track map then. Something going wrong here. It doesn't seem like... what's going on? It's coming out of his tyre, but he's now not even making it to the grid. He's just parking up on the right-hand side. Very strange, very strange. Okay. You know what, let me restart the track map. Maybe that will help. No. Is it brakes on fire again? He's got brakes on fire again, hasn't he? And you've got Verstappen getting ahead of Hamilton. I've just missed that, but Hamilton has just lost out the position there to Max as they go through the first sector, and Hamilton just breezes. Hamilton's lost the position. Max has just said thank you very much. So the undercut, while it worked for that one lap, Hamilton just didn't have the pace to hold off Max on this occasion. So Max now, it seems like he's going to be able to hold off Lewis again. We've got both Piastri and Leclerc coming into the pits now on the same lap here. Both of them coming into the pits, same lap. And here we go. Yeah, Max has got a bit of clean air now. 4.5 seconds worth of clean air. Well, of course, depend where Charles comes out of the pits on, and he does come out behind both of Verstappen and Hamilton, and Piastri comes out ahead. How tight is it going to be between Piastri and Verstappen? About 2 seconds or so. 2 seconds, yeah. Right. There you go. So Piastri able to stay out. Oh, we've got 50-50 for keeping. I'll just turn it on for now. Max says, I don't want to complain, but that was, again, moving under braking. I mean, nice action, but it's not right. So Verstappen here saying that, Hamilton moving under braking and such. So, these drivers do love complaining, don't they? Okay, yeah. See, the map's still glitching out. We've got even less drivers on the track as well. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, so... But Lewis is going to try again. He's not giving up so easily. If you could stick behind Max on the soft tyres, he can definitely stick behind him on the hards. And now Max, of course, will start up getting a little bit of traffic as well in the form of Piastri. So Max does not have, sort of unchained ability to just sort of drive off into the sunset. He's got someone keeping him in check, giving him a bit of dirty air as well, which will allow Hamilton to get close. And Piastri does come out ahead of Lando Norris. It was a 3.2 second stop there for Norris. And yeah, there we go. Yeah. F1 Gamer, every streamer's facing the map problem. Yeah, well, there you go. It's the original data source that's got the issue. Strange that we've got GPS jamming over Hungary. Well, okay, I don't know if it's GPS jamming or not, but I sort of don't know what else it could be. Make the radio bigger. That is a good idea. Give me a sec, folks. I'll make the radio huge. Right, so there you go. While we haven't got the track map working, you might as well read a lot more radio messages. All right. So continuing on with the race, I'm not going to get too distracted in the setup right now. So Piastri here trying to make an overtake on Isaac Hadjar. I think that's fair enough, right? Hadjar's on some pretty old tyres. Piastri gets that done nice and quickly as they go down the start-finish straight. So nicely done there by Piastri. Also, notice here, Piastri offsetting himself from Hadjar. So this is one of the key things that the drivers do. Because the dirty air is so strong here in Hungary, as they go through the corners in the final sector, they'll offset themselves by about half a car's width or so, and that will reduce the dirty air. They might still be on the dirty, slightly off the racing line and the optimal racing line, but it's an overall benefit, and you see that. Yeah, you'll see a lot more of that essentially. But Norris now right on Piastri's heels. We've essentially got... Wait, this is going to be a 5-way fight for a net first position. Once Antonelli comes into the pits, which he will, this will be 5 drivers within 5 seconds, all for P1. I mean, this is incredible. Hadjar is getting overtaken by pretty much everyone now because he's on those medium tyres and they're just a little bit too worn out at this moment in time. Charles Leclerc, fastest lap of the race here, and... nicely done by him. Well, let's see how much this lasts, folks. Let's see how much this lasts. Who is going to come out on top? Currently, Piastri leads the way in net P1, then Norris, then Verstappen, then Hamilton, then Charles Leclerc. Hadjar and Antonelli still yet to pit. Hadjar says, I'm staying out, and Kimi Antonelli has been told over the radio, it's good pace, just keep it tidy. That, of course, referring to track limit extensions. We've got Albon, who's got his lap time deleted twice for exceeding track limits. Colapinto's got a lap time deleted once for exceeding track limits. Hadjar does come into the pits, though, after saying that he's going to stay out, so clearly the engineers want him to come in. They come over the radio to Norris here. Look at the radio to Norris here. He's probably doing a 1. So Antonelli here, because nothing else is going to work, they don't have the outright pace to go and make all of these overtakes. Kimi Antonelli is trying for the 1-stop strategy. Everyone else is going to try for the 2-stop. So Antonelli will have to hang it out for about lap number, I'd say 30 on the medium tyres. And then once he's done that, then he can go on to the hards to the end of the race. And, can it be done? Yes. With track temperatures up at 53 degrees Celsius, it's going to be extremely difficult. And but the other thing that you have to keep in mind, he's got a lot of clean air. He's 12 seconds behind him, there's no one, and in front of him, there's also no one. So Antonelli has got that advantage in that sense, where he does have the ability to set his own pace, to manage his tyres however he sees fit, do a little bit of lifting and coasting wherever he wants to try for that one-stop strategy. Right. So we need strong pace in this stint so it doesn't work out for him. That's what they say. Norris fastest lap of the race, half a second back from Piastri here. Hopefully there's no more team radio situations like sorry, not team radio situations, the team order situations like we had last year between Piastri and Hungary. Piastri and Norris, not Piastri and Hungary. And yeah, half second gap between the two McLaren drivers. Norris, Piastri still drifting wide on quite a few of these corners, but he's able to keep Norris honest, and Norris isn't being really able to close up. So if there was to be a VSC now, and Antonelli was to pit, and Piastri and Norris would stay out, Antonelli would come out just in front of Norris, so it'd be very, very tight in between those two drivers essentially. So that's sort of what you're looking at. So if a VSC was to come out, Antonelli's strategy would be blessed, but he would need that VSC to come out in approximately 8 laps time, so the tyres can actually last. Right, folks, the map is broken. The GPS is glitching out, hence for that reason I'm not showing it. You've just got drivers teleporting all over the place. So for that reason, I'm just got a bunch of team radios up on the screen and continuing on with the broadcast as usual. Yeah. What else has been going on then? We've got Hulkenberg trying to overtake Lindblad. We've got Lawson into the pit lane there. 21 laps there on the medium tyres. Also, I've got to say, Alonso and Bortoleto, both drivers on soft tyres, have managed to do 21 laps on the softs. So they've done a very, very good job so far at managing those tyres. And clearly, if they're doing that, they're managing soft tyres in these such hot temperatures with an extra 100 kilograms of fuel in the car, then there's obviously a reason and a slight indication that Antonelli will be able to pull off the one-stop strategy. Antonelli is P1 because he has not come into the pits yet. Also, look at this. You've got this team radio message from Fernando Alonso saying race picture. So Fernando Alonso, while driving around, while battling, well, he's not really battling with anyone right now, but while driving around, he wants to get information about how his performance is looking, what is everyone else on the circuit doing, in terms of who he's racing, who he's not. Antonelli drives into the pits, lap number 23 of 70, with 48 laps left of this race. He comes into the pit lane, potentially a one-stop strategy, but this looks awfully similar to a two-stop strategy, really, because lap number 20 is when you come into the pits, then you do 25 stints or 25 laps on the hards, and then another 25 laps on the hards. You make it to the end of the race. So we'll see what Anthony does, of course. It may be safety car dependent and things like that as well. But Piastri retakes the lead, and he is 8/10 clear of Norris at this moment. What is Norris doing? He's just unable to get close to Piastri. Piastri's just doing a very good job of, consistent laps, albeit, a few mistakes here or there, but his lap times are still pretty solid. Oh, track limit extension here for Antonelli. Lap time deleted on lap number 19. So 4 laps ago, Kimi Antonelli exceeded track limits at turn number 7, and he's got a lap time deleted for that, of course. So F1 Gamer mini sector requested. I would like to put the mini sectors on there on the screen, but the way that I've got it all set up, it would take an awful lot of rearranging and stuff, which I would not be able to do while I'm live. So unfortunately, it's gonna have to stay as is with a bunch of team radios on the screen. Yeah. The map's broken today, folks. The GPS is totally and utterly glitched out. Right. Charles Leclerc, slightly fresher tyres, of course, to Lewis. He's now getting within that 1 second window of overtake, so we'll see if there is an inter-Ferrari battle there. He's been told over the radio this is really good pace. And Nico Hulkenberg being told about tyre management there. You can see last lap, very good for tyre management, Nico. So that, of course, is quite the big concern here on those hard tyres. You've got to make them last 25 laps. And well, we'll see how Nico copes. Track temperature 52 degrees, air temperature rising up now 31 degrees Celsius air temperature. Not a DNF just yet. Well, actually, I say that, but Bottas has DNF'd from the race after he's had an issue. So Bottas, Bottas is DNF'd, so that's Bottas out. Yeah. So 1 DNF so far. I predicted that there'd be 6 DNFs in total, so let's wait and see how that prediction plays out, of course. And Norris still hounding the back of Piastri, but there's no way past. Piastri very much seeming like an immovable object right now in that first position spot. As soon as Norris gets close, that McLaren just gets wider and wider, and well, we know that Hungary is quite the narrow circuit in and of itself. The chat reports the map is fixed. I mean, it's not. I can show you that, like, it's still glitching out a little bit. So, yeah. I'll give it a refresh. Maybe that'll fix it. So, data's gone black for 20 seconds, folks. Hopefully, once we get the map back, things should be up and going. Either way, here we can see Norris on the previous lap, 0.3 gain, and we've got a fastest lap of the race here from Kimi Antonelli, and his job, of course, is to try and close up on Charles Leclerc. He's got a 5-second gap there, and no, folks, the map is still broken, so I don't know where you guys are getting that from, but Kimi Antonelli, he's got a 4.8 second gap, 4.8 seconds to try and close up to Charles Leclerc. And, well, he's on a different strategy to George Russell. Russell might be the driver that's actually trying the one-stop here, because think about it, he's the one that dropped right to the back of the pack. He also got told target +6. If you remember back, I mentioned this a couple of minutes ago on the team radios, but Russell got told target +6, which does indicate that it may be a one-stop strategy for him, actually. Okay. Can you do 40 plus laps on hard tyres? You can do 40 plus laps. Ideally, what you want to happen is the safety car come out for a few laps or so. So, well, you spend 5 laps behind the safety car, so that's a whole lot less tyre wear. But it is possible to do. But you will, in optimal conditions, you'll need a lot of clean air, essentially. Piastri on this time, actually, we're aiming for plan A target lap, how's the tyre? That's what they say over the radio, and then they say, oh, it doesn't feel great. So Piastri was doing fine on the medium tyres, and he had done 16 laps on those, and when asked about how the tyres feel, he was like, oh, tyres feel good, I'll continue on at this pace. But now on the hards, pace isn't looking as good for Piastri, and he's not obviously too happy with how the tyres are performing. Yeah. The only thing that might help Alonso is the rain. Well, there's not much rain on the way. It's blue skies in Budapest. So yeah. What else have we got going on here? Stroll up 5 positions off the race start. Bortoleto also at 5 positions off the race start. Nice job from both of them. Of course, Bortoleto still yet to pit, whereas Stroll has pitted and is still up 5 places. So the Aston Martin pace is real here, folks. It wasn't the greatest, qualifying session for Stroll, I've got to say, but Alonso is there up in 13th position, with out on those soft tyres, and then you've got Stroll also, who's done quite some solid progress, I've got to say. All right. Charles Leclerc over the radio saying, oh, we're losing quite a bit of time. This is Charles Leclerc over the radio saying, I'm losing time because I'm stuck behind Lewis Hamilton. I mean, how many times have I heard this before? Oh, my teammate is holding me up. Please let me by. Yeah, I mean, your average Formula One driver moment. We'll see what Ferrari have to say about that. But I think they'll probably just tell Hamilton to pick up the pace a little bit. Yeah. What I can do, folks, is I can put the map up in a tiny little corner in the screen so you guys can just realise that it is still glitching out. And as a result, we're not going to get loads of questions about it. Yeah, there we go. Let's make this even smaller. Yeah, I'll sort this out, but give me a sec. Oh. All right. We've got Russell into the pit lane. 27 laps completed on a set of medium tyres. So I think Russell is going for the one stop, as I had said. Oh, I don't know why my webcam. Anyway, Russell, 27 laps completed on the mediums, and he could probably pull off 43 on the hards. So that's what we're going for with George. He's going to try the one stop. Let's see what he can do. Of course, everyone else will have to do an extra pit stop compared to George, which means he will gain 20 seconds worth of just free lap time because, of course, he's not coming into the pits. But that will, of course, be offset by the fact that he will be on much, much older tyres. Right. Yeah. Any chance for a Ocon point? Ocon's down in 17th position. Looks unlikely to be honest. Yeah. Does the map work on other streams? No, it's from the original data from the FIA or from Formula One that is having the issue. So everyone is having the same problem. Yeah. And what else have we got? Max complaining about gear shifts again. Nothing new. But he's still on the podium positions there, Max. Third place after quite the nice race start from him, and he managed to find himself up in P3. Why aren't they retiring Bottas? Bottas is retired, but the data doesn't think he's retired. So Bottas is out of the race. Who do you think will win in Hungary? Thanks for the donation, buddy. Who do I think will win in Hungary? Probably Piastri. I think Piastri's just doing a pretty good job here, unless he gets undercut by his own teammate. Yeah, I don't know. He's been told over the radio here, brake temperatures were okay, we're still looking. So potentially there was some issue on the previous lap or something. But, that was Norris exceeding track limits in quite a big way, actually. So he'll, of course, get noted for that one, and that's his first warning. Antonelli is on 2 warnings, folks. He's exceeded track limits at turn number 7 on lap number 19, and also on lap number 24, sorry. So 19 and 24, those are the 2 laps Antonelli has exceeded track limits. Norris has exceeded track limits on lap number 29 at turn number 4. But yeah, turn number 7 both times for Antonelli, and he is he's going to be told over the radio, of course, be very, very careful here. F1 Gamer, any plans for the summer break? I'm gonna go camping with some of my friends. There's gonna be a meteor shower apparently sometime in August. So hopefully get out into nature and be able to see a meteor shower. Yeah. But apart from that, no, just see some of my friends and stuff like that, because I'll be moving around the country once I start working. So yeah. Nothing all that exciting, to be honest. George Russell comes out on a set of hard tyres, fastest lap of the race. Very nicely done. F1 Gamer, is it going to be called the Malaysia? It's going to be called the Bahrain Grand Prix, even though it's held in Malaysia, and the reason is Bahrain is sponsoring it. Leclerc says, "Can I do something different strategy wise?" And Ferrari says, "We are thinking about it." And Hamilton comes into the pits. Okay. Do you get a live broadcast of Meteor Shower? Probably not, given that I'll probably have no network. What do they get for penalties for track limits? It will be after 3 times you exceed the track limits, you then get a black and white flag, and then after that you get a 5-second time penalty. Okay, and Hamilton comes in for his second pit stop now. So 13 laps on the first set of soft tyres, 17 laps on the first set of hard tyres, and now on his second set of hard tyres, he is required to do 40 laps. That is 40 laps required for Lewis Hamilton to go to the end of the race. So unless he's trying a 3-stop strategy, this is going to be a long race for Lewis. And Hamilton comes out just 3/10 back from Isaac Hadjar. We'll make that overtake rather quickly, given that he's on fresh tyres. George Russell, again, previous lap was fastest lap of the race, and he's still making he's still doing reasonably well. So we'll see how much longer that pace lasts, or was it just a warm-up little procedure, bring the tyres up to temperature, and now let's settle in for the long haul and try to go 40 laps to the end of the race. Can I show the FIA messages? I haven't got that set up, unfortunately, which again will take me a little bit too long to do while I'm live, but I will get that set up for after the summer break. In fact, I was thinking about potentially just setting up a second live stream that would have a whole lot more information on the screen as well. So if you're watching on your computer, for example, you could watch both live streams, one on one computer, one on one monitor, one on the other. But anyway, we'll discuss all of that later once the race is over. So, Hamilton up into 6th position ahead of Hadjar. Why did he pit? Because I guess Ferrari thought that it would be all right for his strategy, and Leclerc was complaining quite a bit over the radio, being like, "Oh, I'm being held up." So now it's time for Leclerc to, show a bit of pace and catch up to Verstappen, given that he was over the radio being like, "Oh, mate, I'm getting held up here." So track temps 51 degrees, 51. Will Piastri pit? Yes, Piastri will pit. Unlikely that he's going to be doing 55 laps on a set of hards. And we'll have a pit stop incoming in probably the next 7 laps or so. Yeah. F1 Gamer, is Twitch ever coming back? Probably not. At least, my internet connection here just isn't the most stable thing in the world. So currently I'm directly plugged into my Wi-Fi router. Oh, McLaren crew looked like they were going to come in for a pit stop, but the tyres are going back into the garage. Okay. And fastest lap of the race there for Lewis. Great job. And now we've got Antonelli closing up to the back of Leclerc, and we've got Norris closing up to the back. Well, Norris has been on the back of Piastri for ages. How is Max losing 1 second every lap to Norris? He isn't. On the previous lap, Max was 4/10 faster. Yeah. And so is Charles Leclerc, actually. Both Max and Leclerc are faster than the 2 McLaren drivers that are currently in first and second position. So, if they can find themselves a nice undercut window where they come into the pits, they lose their 21 seconds by driving into the pit lane, but then they have a bunch of clean air to make overtake via strategy, then that could be the move. If Verstappen was to pit right now, he'd come out ahead of Hamilton by just the slightest margin, and then he'd have clean air to try and undercut Lando Norris, which might be the move here. Oscar Piastri comes into the pits, so there you go, into the pit lane for the Aussie. Thanks for the donation there, Montour Maroof. McLaren back on the chase for P2 in the constructors. I will bring up the constructor standings and driver standings up onto the screen momentarily. Give me a sec. Here we go. McLaren will be 230 points, Ferrari 308. So no, they're still quite a ways away. But yeah, if you guys want to have a look at them again, just pause the stream and then go back. All right. Piastri, though, does come out. He comes out ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Nice, comfortable gap for Piastri there. And, now Verstappen's undercut attempt will not work as effectively because he'll have a bit of dirty air from Piastri rather than actually having clean air as he would have if he had pitted before. Alonso on 32 lap softs. I mean, the guy is just... He's incredible, isn't he? He's incredible, Fernando. And he's going for the one stop, despite starting the race on the soft tyres. So he's going to go onto the hards for the final stint. And we'll see how he does. Because the thing is, with the two-stop, well, yeah, if he does the one stop, he will then have for other drivers to make it past him and to actually overtake, they'll have to overtake Fernando Alonso at Hungary, which, as we know, is a very difficult thing to do. So I think Alonso is just playing to his strengths here. I think Aston Martin have done a rather smart move by keeping Alonso out for the one stop. He knows exactly and how to defend at which corner to place the car and how to do it. So yeah, by giving him the one-stop strategy, it's on his opponents to try and overtake Alonso, and we know that to be quite the difficult task. Can't Alonso go into the mediums instead of the hards? I mean, he could, but I think for Aston Martin's sake, they could play it a little bit safe. The hard tyre seems to be a relatively good tyre for most drivers. Russell was setting fastest laps there. Hamilton's also set fastest laps on it, so it's not like it's a bad race tyre. But yeah, it'll depend on what Alonso's got to say. Okay. And Antonelli still within that 1 second of Leclerc, but unable to get anywhere near to actually overtake. And looking at Piastri there, you can see that on the previous lap, he pitted, and the gap between himself and Norris now is 21 seconds. So if Norris was to pit now, it would be very, very close between the two. But in the first sector, Piastri does go 3/10 faster than Norris. In the middle sector, he goes 2/10 faster than Norris. So with the fresher tyres, of course, he's extending out that gap a little bit. Alonso finally does dive into the pit lane there, and he'll be coming out. Let's see which tyres he comes out on. But yeah, the predicted gap between Norris and Piastri extremely close now. So Piastri has now got to do everything in his power to just extend out this gap as much as he can, to make sure that he doesn't get overcut by Norris, because Norris's pace is still relatively good. He's only 3/10 slower than his best ever lap that he's done so far this race. So considering that he is on 18-lap-old hard tyres, he's still lapping very consistently. And of course, the safety car windows are open for Norris, so if the safety car was to come out right now, he would benefit quite greatly. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in, by the way. Much appreciated, despite all of the issues with the data and such. Thank you everyone for sticking with the coverage. Hopefully we don't have any further issues later on in the year, but as you can see above me, it's still glitching out as always. Antonelli drifting wide at turn number 2. You can just see as soon as he sort of gets into the line of where Charles Leclerc is, the car just encounters this mysterious ghost of understeer. This ghost of understeer that just gust of understeer that just drifts him wide and wide. So yeah, Antonelli's got to start offsetting himself from Charles Leclerc to try and benefit, take advantage of what he can of his quicker car. Okay. We've got Ocon into the pits. Yeah, we're now very much approaching the second pit stop window. So Charles Leclerc into the pits, Ocon into the pits. We've got a lot of drivers that we're coming in rather soon for their second pit stop. All right. So, of course, it doesn't look right now that great for Fernando Alonso. He's just up in 17th position. But once everyone else ahead of him comes into the pit lane, then, he'll be hoping to move up a little bit. In fact, he's battling away with Behrman. I wish they would show this on the TV broadcast, but clearly too busy showing us one of the Mercedes driving in a straight line. Charles Leclerc is into the pits now, and that was a very smooth stop by the Ferrari crew. 2.5 seconds, and Charles Leclerc is out. All right. Very nice. And Leclerc 7/10 back from Hadjar, but Hadjar's on 17-lap-old tyres, and Leclerc's on fresh hard tyres, so easy peasy. Track temp 50 degrees Celsius, air temp 31 degrees Celsius, folks. Not too far. Why are the hard tyres so popular? All of these drivers are on their second set. Because they're the most durable tyre here in Hungary, with track temperature exceedingly high. At 50 degrees Celsius, it is so hot that it's so hot that the hard tyres, it's just the optimal tyre to be on. because of their durability. Right, we've got Isaac Hadjar here being told push button is available. So he's been told that the push button's available to try and defend against Leclerc. I don't know how wise that really is, because Leclerc just, goes past him. And Max is saying, I'm losing more, and then it says unclear. This is undrivable again. And then he says over the radio, well, I mean, I don't know, nothing feels good, medium or hard. So Max is not too happy with the medium tyres or with the hard tyres, and struggling clearly is Verstappen in this race. Right. Oscar being held up a little bit there by Carlos Sainz, of course. In fact, if Norris was to pit now, Norris would come out ahead of Piastri. How that's happened? Piastri was 2 seconds slower in the previous lap, and that's because he was making his way through traffic. There's Sainz, there's Behrman in close proximity, and Piastri now is quite angry over the radio here. Oh, look at this. Get out the effing way, you idiots. And, okay, I've never heard Piastri this angry over the radio, but yeah, if Norris comes into the pits now, Piastri will lose the position to traffic. I mean, they were battling away. They saw the blue flags. They were right ahead of them. Yellow flag. What's this? We got a yellow flag. Turn number... Oh, no, it's gone away again. Something momentarily at turn number 2. Right, well, Piastri's going to have to work doubly hard now to bring that gap under 21 seconds again. And Norris is still being ever so consistent there. A 1 minute 24.5 again. That's only 0.2 slower than his best lap that we've seen overall. And, encountering, I think, a little bit more. Norris is now going to start encountering a bit of traffic. And Norris into the pits. Now. What's going to happen here? Piastri, of course, he'll be doing absolutely everything that he can. He does get let by. Verstappen takes the lead of the race as he's still yet to come into the pit stop. Is it a bit of a slow stop? Bit of a slow stop there for Norris, and this might have just saved Oscar Piastri. Of course, luck not working in either of the McLaren drivers' favours, but it's a slow stop for Lando Norris, and we find himself with who comes out ahead. I can't tell which one of the McLaren drivers. Is it Norris? Norris comes out ahead. No way. Even despite a slow stop, he still comes out ahead. That is, Piastri's going to be fuming. Play it sensible so you can use boost with Lando. That's what, they've said over there. You could use boost with Lando. Play it sensible, though. Oh, my goodness me. That is brutal for Piastri. He had a win last year as well here in Hungary, taken away by team orders, and now you've got traffic ruining his race here, and somehow the slow stop didn't overall affect it. He said, "Understood. I need to get the tyre to the end. I need you to get the tyre to the end." That's his engineer, I suppose, saying that be careful on your tyres. We need them to last right till the end of the race. Oh, that was close there between one of the Ferraris and the Astons as they were going by for traffic. Why did they not pit Max now? He's losing a second per lap. Because I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why, because Charles Leclerc currently is lapping 1.5 seconds faster on the previous lap. So are they waiting for a safety car? Maybe that's what it is, but it's not great, really. Piastri's been told Antonelli and Verstappen are still out. We're in a race with them. Oh, Piastri. Oh, mate, don't talk to me now. Nice of you guys to factor that one in, by the way. Thanks. Oh, mate, Piastri's not having any of this over the radio, mate. It's not great. He's been, a bit screwed over twice at this circuit now. Brutal. I'm sure he'll calm down by the time the press conferences roll around to joke about it, but But yeah, you got to feel for the guy. Right, we're on lap number 41 of 70 here. And a few more drivers yet to come in for their second stop. Verstappen there you go, comes into the pits. We had someone asking in the chat, why isn't Verstappen pitting? There you go, Verstappen into the pits. Is it going to be a quick stop by the Red Bull crew? A very nicely orchestrated pit stop there. And Max Verstappen finds himself leaving the pit lane very, very fast. Yeah, Piastri essentially just a no more radio to the end of the race, to be honest. And there you go. Norris is now blasting out purple sectors on a fresh set of tyres. Verstappen comes out milliseconds ahead of Leclerc. They're going side by side through turn number 2 here. And Verstappen is, well, he's holding on for dear life because his tyres aren't warm and Charles Leclerc's tyres are warm. Max is on softs. What? 29 laps to go and he's on softs. I mean, Alonso did 34 laps on soft tyres, but soft tyres? What? Okay. Interesting. Hannah Smith clearly has thought this one through. Well, you'd hope that she's thought this one through. But they've told Max to give it a gentle introduction. Max was told last year to give his tyres a gentle introduction, and he wasn't too pleased with that. And he went set a fastest lap of the race, actually. So we'll see what Max does on this year round. You can, because if Alonso has done 34 laps on softs, Bortoletto's done 29 laps on softs, and this is with when track temperature was firstly up at 54 degrees, so 54, 53 degrees, and also they had extra fuel in the car. They had an extra 50 kilograms worth of fuel, so that increases your tyre wear. With Max Verstappen having less fuel in the car, temperature's now down to 50 degrees Celsius, 49 degrees Celsius. He can make it last. It's just, why would you do that? They could be relying on a potential safety car. It could also be that they don't have another set of medium tyres. I can't remember now. I'll pull up the data on my phone about how many sets of medium tyres Max has. But it could be very likely that he doesn't have 2 sets of mediums. And he wasn't happy with the hard tyres. That was the other thing as well. Over the radio, he was like, oh, the hard tyres are horrible. I don't want to use them. So that could be a factor as well. Right. Max Verstappen had one set of fresh mediums and 2 fresh sets of hards. So he did have another hard tyre that he could have used, but clearly he just wasn't happy with it. And now he's over the radio, already terrible. It's unbelievable. So he's not very happy, is he? Is there any proof? He's over the radio. Is there any proof that the soft tyres can last, but they're already terrible? It's unbelievable. Oh, we love the complaining over the radio. Right. Lando Norris deploying a huge amount of battery there down the start-finish straight to get a fastest first sector. He's come across the start-finish line at 268 kilometers per hour, which is the quickest that we've seen all race long, actually. You guys don't have the data up on your screen, but I've got it up on mine. And 268 kilometers per hour, quickest that we've seen anyone cross the start-finish line, and that's with... that's with not that strong of a slipstream. He's like a full second off Antonelli. So Norris is no slouch here. Okay. I just joined what's happened. Bottas retired. Our track map is broken. We've had incidents up and down the grid, actually. A 5-second time penalty for Carlos Sainz for causing a collision. Oscar Piastri was in the lead of this race for the majority of the race, but then he got blocked by Carlos Sainz under blue flags, which allowed Lando Norris to get past him in the pit stops. That's been the big one. You've got Verstappen complaining, but that's nothing new. And relatively other standard stuff. Oh yeah, Russell hit anti-stall at the start of the race, and he's now trying a one-stop strategy. But yeah, it's going to be 7th position for Russell, whether he likes it or not, for by the looks of it. Carlos Sainz into the pits. He's going to have to serve that 5-second penalty on that occasion. Can I make the map bigger? The map is broken. As you can see, the driver's just teleporting all over the place. So no map for this stream, unfortunately. Mention turn numbers more. Indeed, I will. Thank you very much for the feedback, buddy. Right. So Norris now following Antonelli through in towards the final sector, turn 12. He's got to negotiate there. He's still following Antonelli directly, and I don't know how optimal that really is. And yeah, you can see now through turn number 13, slightly offsetting himself. He goes wide on the entry, tight on the exit, which is Antonelli's doing the opposite, of course. Then through the final corner, he follows Antonelli right through because he wants that slipstream. Both drivers open their front wing and open their rear wing as well, and in towards turn number 1 they go. Norris sends a dive to the inside. What a move from Lando Norris, and he can't actually pull it off. Antonelli with a switchback, but Norris on this occasion inside line in towards turn 2. Can he hold it on the inside? Yes, he can. Antonelli tries to go for the switchback, but Norris just parks it on the apex, and Antonelli loses out that position. But also, Norris is on 6-lap old tyres, Antonelli's on 23-lap old tyres, so a bit of a pace difference there, isn't it? Yeah. Norris, clearly the fastest driver, will be a well-deserved win. Well, no, definitely his lap times have been faster than most drivers for the majority of the race. But you know, Piastri got a better race start, and of course the race start is still a factor of the race. But you know, these things happen in racing. There's also a chance that Norris' engine breaks down. Right, he's had terrible reliability so far this season. I would not be surprised if we go 5 laps more into this race and Norris' engine just gives up going through turn number 5 or something. Podium for Hamilton ? Well, looking at the previous lap there, you have got Lewis Hamilton 0.3 slower than Piastri, and in fact Max Verstappen, who's behind Hamilton, is going 0.7 faster. So he is I think Verstappen closing up to Hamilton is a bigger concern than Hamilton catching up to Piastri. Yeah. Ain't looking good for George. Yeah, no, it's not. It is not. The championship standings swinging more to Antonelli's favour again. Well, Antonelli still is yet to pit. We don't know if he's going to come into the pits or not. He could hang it out there. It would be a very long race with Piastri closing up on him soon enough. But yeah, we'll see what Antonelli does, because if Antonelli does come into the pits, then that would drop him just behind Charles. At which point, you know, both Mercedes would end up in 6th and 7th position, which is where they started the race anyway. Verstappen 0.5 second quicker than Lewis on the previous lap, or 0.4 quicker. Ferrari disaster class, yeah, not great really for Charles. Starting the race on the used softs, I mean, he just didn't get a great start overall, really. And then since then, their strategy hasn't really been able to make any amends to the bad race start that they had. I don't see Verstappen soft lasting. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for Max to manage, but Alonso, if you look at his first stint there on the soft tyres, it was 34 laps that he did there. Bortoletto did 29. So Max can make it to the end. He has to make it to the end, because if he comes into the pits now, he'll get pushed back behind Leclerc and Russell, which he's not accepting as a result. So yeah, his pace will suffer, but we'll see how it goes. He's of course now trying, while his tyres are fresher than Hamilton's and still have got a bit of life in them, he's now going to try and make the overtake on Hamilton. Then later on he'll try and defend, but that's what he's aiming to do. Hamilton has realised that, has started to pick up the pace. On the previous lap, Hamilton a 1:24.0, Verstappen a 1:23.9. So the gap there's now only a 10th. But of course these drivers will be will be approaching in on traffic and things like that as well. You can see nearly half the grid has been lapped, so that'll be affecting things. The green circle means that the driver is gaining, but it's not always the most accurate thing in the world. Solid green means that the drivers are within 1 second of the driver ahead, but nobody's within 1 second right now. So, yeah. Will Lewis pit again? No. No, he'll go to the end of the race. Are they all running a lonely race now? Yeah. I mean, you can look at the deltas and the intervals, and you can see that they're all about 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds apart. Like, there's a reasonably big gap between quite a lot of these drivers now. All right. Also, folks, hope you are enjoying the coverage as always. If you do like the channel, then be sure to hit subscribe, be sure to hit the like button. Hopefully we can make our way over to 252k. Also 5,000 likes would be great. Yeah, does help out the channel as always. Kimi's stats with track limits. Kimi, as far as I know, has only got 2 track limit extensions. So 1 more, and then he'll get a black and white flag, and then he'll get a 5-second time penalty for the one after that. So two track limit extensions for Kimi Antonelli. Norris, I think, has only got 1. Norris has only got 1 track limit extension. That was turn number 4, lap 29, I think. Yeah. All right. Previous lap, Verstappen 7/10 up on Hamilton, closing up there. Lindblad points would be amazing. Yeah, he's up in 9th position, so it's good to see him potentially scoring some points. But of course, he may still pit. I don't know what the situation is with Lindblad, but I think he's going to pit onto soft tyres. I don't think he's got another set of hards to actually go to the end of the race in. Let me just double check the tyre information that I've got on my phone here. Arvin Lindblad has... Yes, he's only got 1 fresh set of mediums and 1 fresh set of hards to use during the race. So either he's going to do the 1 stop or he's going to pit for a set of softs in about, 5 laps. For some reason, Piastri's getting less deployment than Norris and Russell's getting less deployment than Antonelli. I believe it was confirmed by Andrea Stella. I forgot who it was in Mercedes. Yes, I have seen that. Oh, yellow flag. What's this? Turn number 5, and it gets cleared up instantly. Okay, all right. Never mind. But yes, it was confirmed that Sector 3, Q3 and Spa, Oscar Piastri had noticeably worse deployment than Lando Norris. So again, some more issues there. We've got Sergio Perez driving slowly. His car's broken down. Something flapping on the suspension. Sergio Perez changed suspension settings in Parc Ferme, like in the pit lane, overnight. And as a result, he started from the pit lane today. But something going on with the suspension again. We saw a suspension failure in Austria, which I think is to be expected, sort of, because, well, Austria's got these violent curbs that really that really give a big beating to the suspension. Hungary's got similar curbs, but the fact that Cadillac haven't learned from their mistakes and reinforced the suspensions or the joints or whatever it is surprising to say the least. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like his left front inside tyre is like bent inwards a little bit, like way too much camber. But I'm not sure actually. Let's have a look. He's making his way through turn number 4. A lot of curb on front right tyre. Oh no, front left tyre it is actually. Yeah, front left tyre. He takes a lot of curb on the exit of turn number 4, but that somehow affects the left suspension rather than the right suspension. Don't know what's happening, but he's in the pits. Turns out it's one of those rare times where the pilot says, I'm faster, and it was true. I think, is this referring to Norris? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, look, Norris on that previous lap goes nearly a second faster than Piastri. So, there you go from Lando Norris. Of course, we don't know if it's down to deployment or what it is, but Let's see how it goes. Will Piastri overtake Antonelli? Well, on the previous lap, Piastri's only 1/10 up. The thing is, as the stint goes on, Antonelli's tyres will degrade a lot more than Piastri's will. So, yeah, you'll have Piastri catch up inevitably. Lance Stroll has just been told over the radio, no energy this lap. What does that mean? Does that mean no battery whatsoever? Not sure. Thanks for the donation there, buddy. Which circuit is more battery emptying? Portimao or Istanbul Park? I think it would be Istanbul. I think, yeah, Portimao has got quite a lot of braking zones and stuff like that. So I think Istanbul, yeah, would be worse on the battery. Okay. So we've had the majority of the drivers do a two-stop strategy. We've got 18 laps after this race. Albon hasn't done a second stop. Neither has Alonso. Neither has Bortoletto, Lindblad, Russell, or Antonelli. And the gap between Hamilton and Verstappen now 3.8 seconds. Verstappen has been making steady progress, but it's going to take a while. The gap was up at 8 seconds, now it's down to 4, and inevitably it will close up in the closing stages of this race. But it's now down to how much those soft tyres are going to last for Max. He had the opportunity to go on hard, but he didn't want to do that again because he had quite the terrible time on his previous hard tyre stint. So now he's going to have to deal with the degradation of the softs in these warm Budapest conditions. Why is there a big gap between the drivers? Budapest is just one of those circuits, really, where the drivers just tend to spread themselves out, especially with a two-stopper. There's lots of different drivers. Sometimes one driver's conserving, one driver's attacking, and it results in them being quite spread out. Yeah. Antonelli says, why can't we go to the end? We don't have the tyre life. Press and hold boost. Oh, so Antonelli was trying to go to the end of the race, but he says they don't have the tyre life, which I'm not. So Mercedes think that he couldn't have made it to the end of the race, which of course is a potential, a threat of the tyre just completely failing. But of course, the other thing that we know is that if your tyres wear out too much, your car can get underweight, it goes a little bit too light. It was George Russell in Spa a few years ago that got disqualified for his car being too light. In Spa, of course, you're not allowed to pick up debris essentially once the race is over because you drive backwards into the pit lane. So that he got caught out at Spa there, so maybe Mercedes are worried about the hard tyres. If he did 57 or something like that laps on them, then they would they'd get a little bit too light. Do you think Max will pit for mediums? No, Max won't be pitting. Max will go. Max will be going to the end of the race on the softs, unless the safety car comes out and something else changes. But yeah. Oh, Lance Stroll here. Yeah, understood. We think a duct has cracked, so something's broken. It's not normal. Interesting. So Aston Martin having more problems with Lance Stroll's car now. So of course he had a broken suspension in free practice 1, but as you can see here, he's got some issue with some of the inlet ducts and things like that. So that might, of course, not that might affect the cooling and that sort of stuff for the engine. Why is McLaren messing up Piastri again? He isn't even leading the championship. Well, I think that, look, you look at the previous lap and Piastri's only 2/10 off Norris in terms of pace, but it was unfortunate circumstances essentially with Piastri getting held up by Sainz. But then, yeah, Norris, the fact that the crew were like, oh, it's time to pit now, when they knew that Norris would come out ahead of Piastri due to the traffic, I'm not exactly sure of how the team dynamics work at McLaren because of the whole papaya rules and it all being a bit shrouded in uncertainty. And like, is it fair for one side of the garage to say, oh, someone's had an issue and been blocked, so now I'm going to pit to make sure that I can come out ahead of you? Like, it is unlucky, and it's just racing at the end of the day. Maybe if the relations were better between the side of the garages, or McLaren had a rule saying that, you know, if someone has unfortunate circumstances, then we have to let them by, like they did with the papaya rules. But I don't know. It's I'll let you guys decide what you think of it. I'm to be honest, I'm not all that bothered. Yeah. Folks, the map is broken. The map, as you can see there, is glitching around with the drivers just teleporting all over the place. Hamilton gets ahead of Piastri. What's going on, Piastri? Is there a problem with Piastri's car? Piastri, problem with this car, mate, this is brutal for the guy, man. We were just talking about his bad luck, and he's just been overtaken by, oh my god. Oh my god. Yellow flag's out. Is that going to be safety car VSC? I lost the gearbox. McLaren, can you build a gearbox, guys? I mean, Norris has had gearbox problems. Piastri's had gearbox problems. You, like, what's going on? What is going on with the gearbox this year, guys? You know, Max, every single race weekend, is complaining about downshifts. And, yeah, I mean, I'd said this. I'd said, what was this? It must have been like 10 laps ago. I was like, oh, there's a chance that someone DNFs. And Norris comes into the pits now, fresh set of soft tyres, I assume, to go to the end of the race. And you got VSC deployed, and drivers will be coming into the pits, I suspect, to get their tyres changed. Maybe we'll have I don't think we'll have a full safety car because of the nature of where Piastri stopped. He stopped very close to an exit road. You know, if he wanted to spite Lando Norris a little bit, he definitely could have parked up an awkward position, which would have brought out the full safety car. And then as a result, of course, you would have had Norris under pressure from Verstappen and Hamilton. But Piastri parked up in a safe spot, and only a VSC. We've got Antonelli staying out, Verstappen staying out, Hamilton and Leclerc pit 4th and 5th position for those guys, and VSC ending now. VSC ending, and we're about to get underway for a little bit more racing, folks. Wait, did they double stop the Ferraris? Oh my god, Ferrari, man. I mean, they've double stopped them, and it's soft tyres for these guys. Max is not pitting because I guess this is his best shot of scoring a bunch of points. There's 14 laps after the race. That's 14 opportunities you've got to defend through turn number 1 and turn number 2. So, you know, if your odds are Max Verstappen and you're pretty good at defending, you'll take those chances essentially, and you'll try to well, get a second position. And as for Stroll's in second place here, ladies and gents. He is 34 seconds behind Hulkenberg, so unlikely that he's going to move up into first position, into 11th position, sorry. But if there's 2 more DNFs, then we could see Aston Martin getting some points here. All right, well, this is going to get reasonably exciting now. 13 laps left of this race. We've got the drivers behind Max Verstappen, 3-lap-old soft tyres, 3-lap-old hard tyres, 3-lap-old soft tyres for Hamilton, Antonelli and Leclerc, respectively. So let's go racing, folks. Let's go racing. Behrman has been given a 5-second time penalty for ignoring blue flags. Okay. There we go for Behrman, so that's going to add on to his race time, but he's in 17th position, doesn't matter. Antonelli gets ahead of Lewis Hamilton. What? I had Joe complaining over the radio, but Antonelli doing a very nice job there as they go down through the first sector, just really, really good. Yeah, my broadcast is frozen now, so I can't actually tell you what's going on. Apologies here, folks. But Antonelli, purple in the first sector, and it looks like he's pushing nice and hard. What happened to Lewis? Did he lock up? Apologies here, folks. My internet for my other laptop, as I said, my internet is a bit dodgy here, and things seem to be a little bit broken. Right. And Gasly, purple first sector. Of course, this is him on fresh tyres, so he's just going to be pushing maximum all-out attack, using a bit of that battery. Of course, remember, during the VSC, the drivers will do as much as they can to recharge the battery up. So for that reason, of course, they'll all use a little bit of it once the VSC ends, and that's why you can see Gasly with a purple first sector. Charles Leclerc, purple in the middle sector, and that's a fast lap of the race, a 1:22.000, exactly for Charles Leclerc. Very nicely done by the Monegasque. And up at the front, the gap is 6 seconds, and Antonelli is closing in by 1.2 seconds on the previous lap. 1.2 seconds clear he is against Kimi Antonelli, against Max Verstappen. In terms of the previous lap of the race, that is a monumentally large gap for Antonelli there, in terms of the pace. And of course, that's fresh hard tyres compared to used soft tyres, a really, really big advantage. And Antonelli, you taking full use of it. Soft tyres for 30 laps. I mean, Max is going to try for it. He had no other alternative. If he had come into the pits, he would have lost a lot more positions, I suspect. So he's going to try and he's going to wait till Antonelli closes up and then just defend for his life. And of course, for Max's favour, Hamilton is only half a second behind. So because Hamilton is half a second behind, you've got both Ferraris here setting purple sectors. If Hamilton can hold up Antonelli even just a little bit, then Hamilton will stop pouncing down the inside, trying to go around the outside, and it helps him in his defensive work because Antonelli is not only applying pressure forwards, he's also receiving it from behind. What happened to Oscar? Gearbox failure. Gearbox failure for Oscar Piastri. I mean, you just can't. The McLaren reliability this year needs to be studied. Like how they failed to design a gearbox for 6 months straight is beyond me. Okay, and then we've got Hulkenberg up into P10 there, and Hulkenberg Bortoletto battling away for 10th position. How come Stroll's in 12th? Because he's just done a good job, really. Soft, mediums, and then softs again for his race strategy. And consistent lap times, not getting held up too much, and doing a good job overall. Of course, there's been a few drivers that have pit and come up behind him, so you can see Gasly there. He's out on soft tyres who pit during the VSC. You've also got Alonso who pitted as well. He was on a different strategy, so... But Stroll, as we know, is the GOAT of Formula One, so that's why he's up in P12, up 8 positions off the start of the race. In fact, most positions gained out of anyone. So there you go, and you got purple in the middle sector here for Charles Leclerc now. Right. Okie dokes, folks. Thanks for the donation. McLaren using a Nissan CVT or what? I don't know what they're using, but yeah, clearly it's not the most reliable thing in the world. Looking at the gap there, you can see that Antonelli is now 5.7 seconds behind Max Verstappen. On the previous lap, he was 1.3 seconds faster. So now it's 4 or 5 laps, and he's catching up very, very quickly. 10 laps left to go of this race. So Max has essentially got 5 laps to defend against Antonelli and see what he can do. And Charles Leclerc again, purple in the middle sector. He's doing his best to catch up to Hamilton. Yeah, Lando's looking really good in the lead of this race. But of course, I don't want to commentators curse it because, if he gets an engine failure, then I would not be all that surprised. Right. Oh, Hamilton under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. What's this? Lewis Hamilton has been noted for speeding in the pit lane here, folks. Oh my God. I mean, look, the way that the drivers maintain their speed into the pit lane is they have the teams know the gear ratios, and because they know the gear ratios, then they can set an RPM limit. So just like in your car, how you have a red line on your RPM, the teams will set an RPM limit of, let's say, 7,000 RPM in first gear as they drive through the pit lane, and that will ensure that they don't go over the speed limit. But Hamilton either maybe braked a little bit too late or something like that. But yeah. Again, just a quick reminder how that works, how they measure the speed is they have sensor number 1, sensor number 2, and then they know the distance between the two sensors, and then they can measure the time difference between the car passing over the sensors, and that's how they measure your speed. So again, we've had a lot of pit stops here, and it seems like nobody apart from Hamilton has been noted for speeding in the pit lane. So the sensors, I suspect, are probably set up correctly. But yeah, Hamilton may have gone a little bit too quickly, and Lewis can't catch a break here from the FIA. Got a penalty last weekend in Spa, which he probably shouldn't have got because it was the opening lap of the race, and typically, we don't give out penalties for something that looked very much like a racing incident on lap number 1, and yeah, now speeding in the pit lane. Guys, unfortunately, I'd love to fix the map, but the map is broken. It is, the GPS systems are jammed or whatever it is, I'm not sure. But yeah, nobody's GPS is working correctly. Right, Hamilton is so close to Antonelli. I mean, literally practically pushing him through some of these corners here as they make their way through the middle sector. And Hamilton trying his best. Of course, there's traffic up ahead as well, which is screwing a lot of things up here. But because this middle sector is very much single file, and he's going to be complaining that, I'm getting blocked here, this, that, and the other. Blue flag for Bortoleto. Bortoleto is the driver that's doing it. He needs to get out of the way to ensure that this battle can continue on, and he does so. Down the inside, Hamilton forced to take a slightly compromised line into 12, but it's all right. Do you get overtake mode when lapping lapped cars? I think you do. Yes. It was the same with DRS. You would get DRS on lapped cars. You get it on you get the same. It's the same system. Please give me the gap to Antonelli, not the back marker, says Verstappen. So there you go. But yeah, he was told actually that it was 7 seconds. Either way, Verstappen, of course, is being very conscious of that gap. 7 laps left to go. Antonelli is not actually closing up that much. It seems like because of the traffic, issues are arising, and he's not able to close all the way up to Max Verstappen. Gap still hovering around 7 seconds. Hamilton is a much bigger threat right now. And Charles Leclerc is being instructed over the radio that Hamilton and Antonelli are fighting, so it's now your time to seize the opportunity and close the gap up. On the previous lap, Charles Leclerc 9/10 faster than Lewis Hamilton. We're on lap number 64 of 70, and we are approaching the final stages of the race here. Everyone has done at least 2 stops, with the exception of Lindblad and Bortoleto, who have done one stop respectively, and it looks like Lindblad is going to be rewarded for 1 point for that one-stop strategy. Let me pull up the championship standings onto the screen there momentarily, so you guys can look at what the points gap is. It's going to be 15 points gained for Antonelli if he finishes in this position. It's only going to be 6 points gained for Russell. Hamilton gaining 12 there, and those are the championship standings. You can have a pause. You can just pause it and have a look if you want to look at anything else. Yeah. Has Lewis been given? No, Lewis is still under investigation for speeding in the pit lane. It hasn't come through on race control just yet about whether he, hasn't come through on race control just yet. And on the previous lap, Verstappen's 4/10 faster than Antonelli. So there you go. Traffic clearly working out in Max Verstappen's favour there, and traffic has been a big talking point here in Hungary, given how it is a thing. It's quite the narrow circuit, which makes it difficult to pass even lapped cars, and clearly Antonelli having some issues passing lapped cars there, and Verstappen being able to hold on to that advantage that he's got. So clearly, it was the right call. A lot of people were questioning whether it's the right call to stay out on the soft tyres for Max Verstappen, but Hannah Schmidt has got it covered, folks. Hannah Schmidt has got it covered. The queen of strategy has done it again. 5-second time penalty has been awarded to Lewis Hamilton, folks. It has been awarded. So speeding in the pit lane for Lewis, 5-second time penalty. That'll be added onto his race. So Charles Leclerc will just be instructed to reduce the gap between himself and his teammate by about 2-3 tenths to ensure that he gets 4th place and Hamilton gets 5th. Oh, it's unfortunate there, isn't it, for Lewis? But well, speeding in the pit lane again, you can't really say that it was unfair stewarding. If he went too quickly in the pit lane, there's a speed camera, a speed check for a reason, and yeah, the battle that we were having there has just been ruined by the stewards. Okay. So there we go. Max Verstappen, a 1:23.4. In fact, that's a personal best lap time there for Max. Very nice. On lap number 67 here with 4 laps left to go. He is, just a few. Well, he's holding that gap at 6 seconds, and Anthony's not getting anywhere near. Okay. Just a quick review of what's gone on in this race. Piastri gearbox failure. Valtteri Bottas, something wrong with his rear brakes. Sergio Perez suspension failure. George Russell hit anti-stall at the start of the race, made incredible progress through the field. So I think my drive of the day has got to be, I don't know, I think, George Russell probably would be my drive of the day. Let me know who you think it would be. Hamilton, of course, Antonelli has done pretty well, getting up into 3rd position. Yeah, I'm not sure. Stroll, 13th position for Stroll, 13th and 14th for Aston Martin. Best finishing positions for them for quite a while. And, yeah. What else have we got to talk about? Yeah, Hamilton's not going to be fighting this one, and Charles Leclerc's within the 5 seconds. I don't know if Hamilton's even been told over the radio just yet. I wasn't keeping an eye out on it. But yeah. All right, lap number 68 of 70, and we have got Lando Norris 13 seconds in the lead. Charles Leclerc still being told over the radio, place to improve is in the last corner. These drivers do not give up in terms of improvement. Every single tenth that they can find, they will get their hands on. And Charles Leclerc currently also, who holds the fastest lap of the race by a margin of 0.3 of a second compared to his teammate. Hamilton there 1:22.300 and Charles Leclerc 1:22.000. Lewis there has been told, we got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He comes and replies, what happened, ? And then no reply. They just say gap behind 4.8 seconds to Charles. So he's essentially just been told, pick up the pace, buddy, otherwise Charles is going to get 4th place off you. It's going to be double points for Racing Bulls, and it's going to be single points there for Nico Hülkenberg in 9th place. What is Ferrari doing? Why pit just because there's a VSC in Hungary? Track position is king. Yeah, I mean, we do know that, of course, but they, from their perspective, if they're on very used hard tyres and you've got opponents behind you on fresh softs, you then would be screwed if you didn't pit. So it's, I don't know. Handing out penalties like crazy, says Hamilton. Of course he feels a little bit hard done by, and Ferrari will review and see what happened. What did Hamilton exceed the how much did he exceed the pit lane speed limit by? Was it 1 kilometer? Was it 2 kilometers? But the rules are rules, and you exceed by 0.1 kilometers, and you should get a penalty. Lando Norris suffering a little bit with the drivability of the car there, but still managing to pump out lap times in the 1 minute 22s. The only other driver in the 1 minute 22s, in fact, is Charles Leclerc there. Liam Lawson, previous lap, a 1 minute 26, seems like quite the... that was probably him getting lapped, actually, having to back off a little bit while we had Lando Norris go past him. But yeah, what was I going to say? Liam Lawson, a bit of a slow lap on the previous occasion. Previous way around the Hungaroring. And here we go. Lando Norris now comes across the start-finish line to start the final lap of the race here in Hungary. He has, he had a very, very good lap in quali yesterday, I've got to say, to get the first non-Mercedes pole. And, we'll talk about his race in a few moments' time. He's been told to use the right-hand toggle for turn number 2. I've no idea what that means, but I suspect it's something to do with energy deployment and things like that. We have got the gap between Hamilton and Leclerc, 4.3 seconds. So Charles is doing his best to stay within the 5-second gap, and Hamilton, of course, doing his best to break it. Hamilton struggling, of course, a bit more because he does have the dirty air of Antonelli ahead of him, which makes it hard to actually extend that gap out. You've got a black and white flag for Bortoletto for track limits there. Too many. That's his third warning for exceeding track limits, but it's the end of the race here, so not too much of a concern. And now, folks, you have got Lando Norris making his way through the final sector, through turn number 12 and 13 for the final time. He had a very good second stint, of course, getting a little bit lucky with the strategy calls between McLaren and Piastri and the safety car and the blocked traffic, but a race win is a race win. And after he got into the lead of the race, impeccable performance from Lando Norris. He comes across the line to win the Hungarian Grand Prix. Really good drive by Lando Norris. We've got Max Verstappen 15 seconds behind, coming across the line there in P2, Antonelli P3, Charles Leclerc gets 4th position after a 5-second time penalty from Lewis, and then we have got Isaac Hadjar in 6th position, Russell in 7th after a great recovery from the anti-stall incident at the start of the race, and then you have got Lawson in 8th, Hulkenberg in 9th, and Lindblad in 10th for our points scoring positions. Yeah, Lando of course did a very good job with the situation that was presented to him. Very unfortunate for Piastri, of course, with the gearbox, and Norris comes over the race, says very well deserved, hard work pays off, just keep going, thank you very much, I love you all, says Lando Norris, and he's of course been told to pick up a bunch of tyre debris and marbles and stuff like that to ensure that his car is over the weight limit. And that has been 70 laps of racing here in Hungary. 3 DNFs. We have had everyone except the top 7 drivers being lapped. Lapped cars causing an awful lot of issues. And, yeah. I reckon it should be Russell for driver of the day, in my opinion. But, of course, you guys let me know what you think. It has been a great, great pleasure commentating to you guys, folks. And, well, we've got a Formula 1 race in 1 month's time. A long way away. 3 weeks of no Formula 1, or 3 weekends of no Formula 1. And then on the 4th weekend, we get a little bit more action. So that has been the first half of the season. An interesting first half of the season, I've got to say, with all of the new engine regulations and things like that. I would say things have made steps forwards in the right directions. We're still not ideally where we want to be in terms of the regulations, but, well, we can wait and see if we do have more improvements on the way. Aston Martin with a fantastic upgrade package to end out the first half of the season. They find themselves up in 13th and 14th position with 3 more upgrades planned in Zandvoort, Monza and Baku, and also an engine upgrade as well. They should be, well, they should find themselves potentially going up against the Racing Bulls and the Audis. And with the exception of that, I think that's been all really for today's coverage. I shall put the standings up onto the screen. Give me just a second. Where have they gone? there are the standings on the screen. It has been good fun commentating to you guys for the first half of the season. Of course, we've got the second half in 4 weeks' time. And yeah, thank you for everyone subscribing and hitting the, we hit 250k, which I'm very pleased about. My parents got me a nice cake for it as well. So no, that was nice last weekend. And yeah, not too much really to say. So hope you guys have a wonderful break and a nice 1 month without Formula One taking up your weekends, so you can find something else to do. Maybe do some other stuff. I don't know really. But yeah, I'm going to be spending a lot more time with friends and family and stuff. So I will probably put out maybe 1 video, maybe 2 during the summer break. We'll wait and see. And that's about it, really. Yeah. Hope you've all enjoyed the coverage. I will end the stream. It'll take you over to the Dutch Grand Prix stream. If you could hit the like button in advance, and the reminder button, of course, helps out the channel tremendously. I'll pop a link in the description as well. So you in the chat, sorry, so you'll be able to see it. And that has been a very nice end to the first half of the 2026 Formula One season. Yeah, have a nice summer break, stay hydrated, and I will see you in 1 month's time. Bye bye, ladies and gents. Bye bye.